Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. You've seen the title, you've seen the thumbnail. Today, we're going to be talking about Naruto with Hidan's immortality. Something absolutely busted in my opinion, because if you think about it, Hidan's immortality was kind of not used to its fullest potential. But if you give it to somebody with a crazy healing factor like Naruto, all of a sudden, you got Chemical X on your hands, if you know what I'm saying. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, grab your snacks, grab your popcorn, tell your friend to tell another friend to tell his grandma about this video, and enjoy. Quick disclaimer before the story starts, it's going to be a little bit more on the dark side just at the beginning of the story, but with that being said, this entire story starts off 7 months before Naruto would graduate the academy, on the day of his birthday to be exact. On this particular day, Naruto would be celebrating his birthday. He checks off his calendar and noticing that nobody's there to celebrate with him, Naruto decides that he's gonna go out and pull a prank or something just to have some fun on his birthday. The real reason he's doing this is because, really, as a kid, he just wants attention. At this point, he feels like any attention is good attention because he wants to feel recognized, like his existence matters on his birthday. And so, Naruto would get a bucket of paint and start painting some random objects in town places, you know what I mean? This would eventually lead to Naruto pissing off the wrong family on the wrong day. Unfortunately for Naruto, Naruto's birthday aligned up perfectly with the day of the Nine Tails attack. I wonder why. But because of this would unfortunately end up leading to many of the villagers being on edge, because they're all sort of mourning their losses every single day on the day that Naruto was born. And Naruto, not being aware of this, would end up doing the worst thing he could have possibly done. This would essentially end up pissing off the wrong family of villagers, and this family would have 3 Chunin ninjas at their disposal. This means that while Naruto would have done this thinking nothing of it, thinking that it was nothing but a harmless prank, things would escalate very quickly, because as Naruto would be running from rooftop to rooftop, doing his general thing and running away with a big smile on his face, knowing that he'll probably have to clean everything up later, but not caring because of the fun he was having, eventually Naruto would turn a corner and be greeted to 3 ninjas, who would quickly go on to corner him in an alleyway where Naruto just couldn't escape. This ultimately leads Naruto to being captured by them, as they would tie him up, hands and legs, as well as covering his mouth so he couldn't even cry out for help, as they would drag Naruto to the forest of death to beat him up, quote unquote. As they would start beating Naruto relentlessly, we're talking kicks, punches, they're genuinely dragging their fists into his gut so deep that their fist marks would all be marked differently. As his stomach would grow purple, his gut just couldn't handle it, and Naruto would start throwing up everywhere. This would eventually get on one of the brothers' foot, as he would say, "Dang brat," and he would kick Naruto square in the face, as it'd be at this point that all of the brothers would start relentlessly beating him, but one of them would start to actually feel a bit bad. This is when one of the brothers would say, "How's this, you damn brat?" as he would kick Naruto in the chest, causing Naruto to lose all the air in his lungs, as Naruto would start crying, desperately wheezing, trying to get a "I'm sorry" out, as one of the brothers watching this onslaught on Naruto would actually start to feel bad for the kid. That's when he would finally say, "Hey, that's enough anymore, and we're actually gonna kill the brat," as one of the brothers cutting him off would say, "Enough? Do you not remember the fact that our mother and sister were dead because of this demon? He took them from us, so I say we ain't even close to being done." As he would turn to Naruto, his eyes practically glowing red in Naruto's mind, as he would smile underneath his mask, hitting Naruto again and again. And it'd be at this point that Naruto would realize he's not getting out of this with just a couple cuts and bruises. Naruto had already peed himself at this point, with so much fear going through his mind, and him just simply realizing that he's gonna die. Eventually, a while would pass, and Naruto would be covered in vomit, blood, spit, and pee, and Naruto would be feeling so much fear that he would actually begin bleeding from his pores. It'd be at this point that one of the brothers would take a scythe out and say, "Well, this kid's no more fun. We should just kill the brat already," as he would aim his weapon, a gigantic scythe, towards the direction of Naruto, who would be terrified, realizing that this is it. He would close his eyes, as he would grit his teeth, waiting for the blade to strike him, accepting death at this point. As finally, as the scythe was about to connect with Naruto, suddenly one of the brothers would stop him, saying, "Hey, what the heck? We weren't even supposed to beat the kid this bad, and now you're trying to kill him to top it all off? Look at him. Clearly he's had enough. I mean, can you honestly believe this kid's even a demon?" But before he could finish his sentence, he would be killed by his brother, who says, "Shut up. You always were a weak link in the family," as he turns back to Naruto and says, "Any last words?" with a smile on his face. With Naruto staring back at him with all of his injuries seemingly beginning to close up, steam would start rising out from him as he would say, "Go to hell," as the ninja would smile, slashing Naruto, who would catch the scythe with one hand, ripping it out of his grasp, and he would break free from his restraints as a psychotic smile would appear on Naruto's face, and it would almost be as if he was possessed, taken over. Because not only was Naruto for the first time experiencing the immortality that Jashin grants, but Naruto was also mixing that with all the hate and anger and rage from the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. This would lead to a perfect combination of healing and immortality that would lead Naruto to gaining so much unbelievable strength in this moment that shattering his restraints was child's play. Naruto, with said smile, would rush the two brothers that are left as he would slash with a scythe at one of them, and he would block it with a kunai, barely dodging out of the way as he would send him flying, as Naruto would then turn towards the other brother, who would throw a kunai at his head as it would lodge deep into it, and Naruto, looking right at him without flinching at all, would turn towards him as he would rush at the ninja, who would yell, "How the heck are you not dead yet?" As the ninja would try to fight back against Naruto, but Naruto, with his newfound strength, would just instantly allow him to speed blitz him and kill him with his new scythe, as he would turn towards the other brother with his eyes glowing red thanks to the QB. He would begin slowly walking towards him, and he would ask him if he has any last words, with the brother simply looking at him and running away, yelling, "You're a monster," as Naruto would smile, appearing right in front of him, saying, "No, I'm a demon, remember?" As Naruto would look at his scythe in his hands and smile as he would rip the ninja in two, as all of the blood would splatter on the trees and Naruto himself, as Naruto, looking at the scythe, would begin to bring it closer to his face as he would lick at the blood and let out a psychotic laughter, with Naruto making his way back to the village, and more specifically into his home, where Naruto, not really remembering what happened, his mind having completely left the situation, sort of like when Naruto would let out those bursts of Nine Tails energy, Naruto would return back to his house, where he would sit there and a little bit of blood would be on his body, having, taken the most of it off, and taking that clothes off, kind of just leaving it there, as Naruto would remember everything that happened, every blow they landed on him, and more specifically, the way that the ninjas let out cries as he tore them limb from limb. This would eventually all hit Naruto in one go, as he would slide down onto the ground, looking at his hand and realizing that he killed them. Naruto in this moment would feel his stomach begin getting uneasy as he would throw up, and he would then start to feel scared of what he's becoming, looking at his hands as a voice in his mind would begin speaking and say, "They deserved it, Naruto," and would essentially begin telling him that it's not wrong because he acted in self-defense, saying that the world has no place for people with silly ideals, saying that in this world, the strong kill the weak. That's just how it goes. As Naruto would nod, remembering what was going to happen to himself if he hadn't acted in self-defense, and Naruto would just keep telling himself that I had to defend myself, I had to. As he would shower, and Naruto, this time when he would get out of it, just showering, trying to wipe the blood off, but he couldn't. Every time he looked at his hand, he saw them covered in blood. Naruto at this point, getting out of the shower, would stare at himself in the mirror, and for the first time in forever would not spike his hair up. As he would stare at himself and see his hair, it's different. His eyes are different. His hair and eyes had changed colors for some weird reason, mainly for aesthetic purposes. This really doesn't do anything to the story. As Naruto would look at himself in the mirror, he would think, Naruto really did die today. As he would hear his stomach begin to grumble, and Naruto would decide that it's about time that he made his way towards Ichiraku Ramen, which he was planning to go to earlier after he pulled off his prank, but Naruto, realizing that he has nothing left to lose, would simply just make his way there, as Naruto would walk in and would be greeted by Teuchi, who would ask if it's his first time here with a smile, as Naruto, speaking in a very memorable voice, something he's heard many times, would say, "No, I've been here countless times, Teuchi," as he would stare at Naruto and say, "Naruto, is that you? Is that really you? Talk about a makeover. You look like a totally different person," as he would ask what's the special occasion, and Naruto would remember what happened in the forest, gritting his teeth as he would say, It's my birthday. Guess I just wanted to try something new," as Teuchi would nod and give Naruto a plate, saying, "Well, Naruto, today's plate is on the house," as Naruto would end his birthday off with the only person in the village who actually cares about him.
Commercial break!
This video is sponsored by me. It's sponsored by me. So if you want to get another part to this series, I can't say this enough, like the video. The like goal for today's video is going to be 1,000 likes. So once you guys absolutely devour that like goal, I promise I'll be dropping part 2 in 24 hours. So with that said, good luck. Hopefully you guys get more parts of this series, and let's get back into the video. After this, we would pick up our events on the next day, with Naruto at the training fields, not having gone to the academy, deciding that instead of focusing on that, he was going to try to draw out the power that he used to fight against the 2 ninjas he killed. Naruto would spend hours and hours, in fact days, training on these skills, but he would realize that he can't exactly draw it out, which would ultimately lead Naruto to a conclusion, and that was that he really can't rely on whatever the heck that power was. All Naruto knows is that now when he inflicts damage on himself, Naruto feels the blow, but he doesn't feel like it's deadly to himself. And Naruto would not be too sure why that's the case, but it just is. This would ultimately lead Naruto to deciding that because he can't focus on something he can't control, he would decide that he's going to focus on something he can. And so, Naruto would lock in like never before on his training and would begin to incorporate his scythe into his fighting style, a gift from a friend, Naruto would think ironically, as he would begin training with said scythe, and more days would pass as eventually a week would blow by in a couple of days, ultimately leading to Naruto being on the training grounds and him not having gone to the academy for practically 2 weeks, would be sitting there working on new moves as multiple trees would have been cut down thanks to Naruto's training program, would eventually have 2 ninjas appear behind him, as they would both be wearing Anbu masks, and Naruto turning towards them would ask what their business is here, as the ninjas would end up saying that Hiruzen needs to have a word with him. Naruto, hearing this, would raise an eyebrow, saying, "What if I don't want to talk to the old geezer?" Both of them would say, "Well, you don't have a choice, Naruto," as they would take out weapons, and Naruto, seeing this, thinking to himself that he doesn't feel like killing any more people, would say, "Fine, I'll go." This would be when Naruto would arrive right in front of Hiruzen, as Hiruzen would say, "Naruto, I'm sure you know why you're here," Hiruzen would say, as he would look at Naruto and ask him why in the world he would kill 3 Chunin ninjas in the forest, asking how he was even capable of such a feat, having not even graduated from the academy yet, saying that what he did was something he can't just look the other way from, that this is going to have serious consequences, and that he even has to discuss this with the village elders. And to top it all off, Naruto, once the villagers end up hearing about this, what are they going to think? You're going to be even more of a cast out, Naruto. Hearing this, Naruto would just give him an uncaring, cold look, as Hiruzen would finally sigh and say, "What would your parents think of this, Naruto?" As Naruto would grit his teeth and say, "Why the heck should I care about what they think? It's not like they were here to teach me right or wrong." As Hiruzen would say that that's enough. "Naruto, you don't understand." As Naruto would say, "No, you don't understand. You don't understand what it's like to be 4 years old, wondering why you're in a home by yourself with nobody around you. Why every time you come home, you're always holding hope that someone's gonna say welcome home or even ask how your day was. You don't know what it's like to walk around the village trying my best to keep a smile on my face as the villagers look at me with disgust like they wish I was never born. They hate me, and I don't even know why." As his voice would begin cracking and Hiruzen would say, "And that gives you the right to kill ninjas?" As Naruto would say, You know, you really are an old fool. You want to know why I killed them, Hiruzen? It's because on the day of my birth, instead of spending it with my mom and dad, I spent it alone, wishing you or anyone else would walk in and tell me happy birthday. So yeah, I pulled a prank, a harmless prank that 3 Chunin looked at and decided that that was enough to kill me over. They beat me up, dragged me into the forest, and tortured me for hours, Hiruzen. Do you know how it felt as each blow would land and they would draw more and more blood from my body? I couldn't move. I was paralyzed with fear. They tried to kill me, and I was supposed to just let that happen? I don't think so. So yeah, I ripped them to shreds, Hiruzen, and my only regret is not making their deaths more agonizing. So if you want to punish me for that, go ahead, you piece of garbage. As Naruto would storm off, only to have Anbu stand in his way, as Naruto would glare at them with as much bloodlust as he could manage, and Hiruzen would look at the Anbu and say, "Let him go." As they would move out of Naruto's way, staring at him, wondering how the heck a genin could muster up that much bloodlust. It'd be at this point that Hiruzen, sitting in his office, would take a hit of his pipe and think, "Minato, I'm failing you." He would realize that Naruto was right. He wasn't caring about how Naruto's doing. He hadn't even checked up on the little guy. He doesn't know all of the things that Naruto was saying, but Hiruzen does know one thing. As long as he can still draw breath, he can still try to make up for it. So Hiruzen would sort of just kind of sit there with his thoughts, having nothing else to do but just think about everything that Naruto said, and this would kind of haunt him into the night. Naruto would struggle to get any blink of sleep, and eventually the next day would come around as Hiruzen, realizing that he was the only reason that all of that happened. Had he probably brought Naruto a cake and just said happy birthday, Naruto never would have pulled the prank, they never would have dragged Naruto out of the house, and we probably never would have had the dark beginning to the story we ended up having. In fact, OG Naruto would have probably taken place, but it was his fault, and now Hiruzen has to own up to it. It would get a scene of Hiruzen knocking at Naruto's door as he would go on to tell him that he's really sorry about what happened, saying that he's going to be giving him an official pardon for everything that happened and that the village won't be finding out about this, as he would go on to tell the shopkeep owner that he is actually going to be facing consequences for allowing his sons to do that. And Naruto would say, "You think I care about that?" But Hiruzen would say, "There's more, Naruto. I know I can't make up for it, but here's this. Happy birthday." As he would walk off and kind of just leave Naruto with a fat stack of cash, as Naruto, looking at it, would scoff, thinking, "You think this makes up for it? You're a piece of garbage, Hiruzen." Eventually though, before he actually before Naruto would watch Hiruzen leave, he would go to grab the money, as there'd be a note in there saying that he has to return to the academy. And Naruto, seeing this, would just think to himself, whatever. As Naruto, seeing all this happen, would decide that he's gonna go next week. And so Naruto would continue his training, working on his side skills and going out doing some shopping, changing his outfit. Naruto was tired of the bright orange clothes that he was accustomed to wearing, and so Naruto would change his entire outfit to look a little bit more like the one that we get in the thumbnail. Naruto doesn't have that little snake that's on the character that I had made, but he does have the hair, the eyes, and the clothes and all that. The hair and the snake and the tattoos, that's going to be coming a little bit later when he's like more of a teenager, I guess you could say. So for now, that's all I got. By the way, let me know down below in the comments any ideas you guys have for part 2, seeing as this video is going to be coming to a close pretty soon. That said though, Naruto would make his way towards the academy, and on his way there, Naruto would take note of one thing that he's been realizing lately. People aren't looking at him like he's a piece of garbage. Maybe it's just due to the fact that they don't recognize him, but Naruto can't help but enjoy this. For the first time in his life, girls are actually looking at him, and it almost seems like they're blushing. Naruto would wonder what the heck that's all about, but eventually Naruto would walk into his classroom, sit in the back of the class, as Iruka would ask if he's a new student, asking why he wasn't informed about this. And Naruto would say, "I'm not a new student, I'm Naruto." And as he would say this, everybody in the class would turn towards him being like, "What? Whoa, Naruto, you look like a totally different person. I barely recognized you," Choji would say, as he would tell Naruto he looks kinda cool. To which Kiba would say, "I wouldn't say cool, but you sure as heck don't look like an orange anymore. But don't get ahead of yourself, Naruto. Getting a makeover won't make you magically stronger." To which Naruto would smirk, remembering his training as well as the moment of the forest, as he would say, "Sure, Kiba." As Iruka, noticing the commotion in the classroom and that everybody's already starting to crowd around Naruto, Iruka would say, "Alright class, let's get back to business," as he would clap and Naruto would finally sit back down looking forward at the class as Naruto would notice something strange. Ino was actually staring at him, and when he looked at her, she would blush for a second. Naruto would wonder what the heck's going on as he would look at the rest of the class and notice that 3 or 4 girls are actually looking towards his direction. Naruto, realizing this, would think, do they? As he would think, no, like that's not it, right? As he realizes that these girls are definitely crushing on him. Naruto at this moment would play it cool outwardly, as in his mind, Naruto would kind of have a huge grin on his face thinking, looks like Sasuke isn't the only cool guy in the class anymore. As Naruto would finish the day, and today was just so different at school. It was one of the first times that he can remember having a good day at school without having to make a fool of himself to get attention. Naruto would be kind of glad, with a little bit of a cocky attitude, as he would feel different. And so, Naruto would continue training day by day as classes would eventually become a lot different to Naruto, and he would rise in popularity as his skills would grow and Naruto would show that he's not the class clown anymore, but he really has changed. This would lead Naruto's relationship to change a lot in the classroom, and he would get along pretty well with some of the more cooler people. He and Sasuke, though, they don't exactly form a relationship, seeing as Sasuke is kind of an attention hog. Eventually though, the day would finally come where the graduation exam would come around and Naruto would actually pass this time, actually being able to form a clone jutsu, leading to him actually passing this time around, which I actually just said that, my bad. Anyways, Naruto would still end up being approached by Mizuki this time around because of one specific reason that I thought of. As I was scripting this, I was like, okay, how the heck is this gonna work? But my main reason to go off of is that Mizuki does not like Naruto. So Mizuki, seeing this as an excuse, would not pass that up, telling Naruto that there's another section of the graduation exam. As Naruto, not entirely being fooled by this and having suspicions of Mizuki, would do so, realizing that this would give him a great opportunity to maybe learn more powerful jutsus. If that scroll of sealing has been sealed away, it's for a reason. So Naruto would steal it, as just like in the original, he would go on to learn the multi-shadow clone jutsu, and he would wait for Mizuki to arrive, as Mizuki would actually do so, but a lot earlier than he would have in canon. In fact, a whole 20 minutes earlier. This would lead to him smiling and betraying Naruto quickly, as he promptly throws a shuriken towards Naruto's direction, and Naruto would smirk, saying, "You know, it's been a while since I've had an excuse to kill someone," as his skin would change colors, turning black and white as he would rush Mizuki, who was caught off guard, not taking Naruto seriously, as he would lead to Mizuki getting his leg cut off, as Naruto smirks in the face of Mizuki and then would cut him right down the middle, from the top of his head to his groin area, which would lead to Mizuki's body and guts just spilling everywhere, as Naruto would let out a maniacal laugh, saying, "That was fun," as he would then take the scroll in his possession and rush towards the direction of Hiruzen's office, where once he would arrive, he'd report to Hiruzen what happened and how he was forced to kill Mizuki. Eventually, Iruka would arrive on the scene just like in the original, and not having arrived on time, this would lead to Iruka seeing Mizuki's dead body, wondering who could have done this. This, though, would not be too much of a big deal, as we cut back over to Hiruzen in his office, and we would see Naruto explaining what happened, as he would say that he had to kill Mizuki because he tried to kill him after all, as Hiruzen would nod, understanding that Naruto had a reason to kill him, but he would say, "But you didn't have to, Naruto, so why did you?" As Naruto would say, "Because he made it so easy," as he would shock Hiruzen, who would realize that the old Naruto really was gone, as he would simply allow Naruto to leave, understanding that the shinobi world had definitely changed Naruto, and at this point, there's not much he can do about it. As we would flash forward a little bit to the next day, and we would essentially just have the same events that go down in the original. Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto would be appointed onto Team 7, and none of that would specifically change. We then have the introduction section, and just like in the original, Sakura would fawn over Sasuke. Sasuke would say he wants to kill his brother, but Naruto, however, his goals are kind of unclear. he would actually go on to be the last one to say something, and he would say that it's none of their business. As after this, the only other change that I could see happening is Naruto not trying to assault Sakura by kissing her in someone else's body, but other than that, we would eventually have Kakashi telling them about the bell test, as the very next day would arrive, and we would simply cut to Kakashi telling them the rules and saying, 3, 2, 1, begin, Kakashi would say, as Naruto would rush Kakashi with a scythe, aiming to kill him, as Kakashi would be surprised by his speed and agility, blocking with a kunai and redirecting Naruto's slash completely. As Naruto, seeing this, would begin to form hand signs saying, "You handled me pretty well, now let's see you handle 20, as Naruto would create 20 shadow clones, which would rush Kakashi, who would be forced to substitute and create 10 shadow clones with the space that he had created, trying to fend Naruto off, who would simply smile saying, "That's cute, Kakashi sensei. How's about 100 more?" As the final shadow clone would have finally been popped, 100 more would appear out of nowhere, shocking Kakashi, who would think, he has this much chakra? As they would all rush Kakashi, who now is forced to use a Sharingan, which each and every single one of the clones doing so, which would drain Kakashi massively. But it would be at this point that Naruto's clones rushing Kakashi would end up doing their absolute best to try to take him out. But Kakashi, having all the experience and being a better fighter than Naruto at this point, would stop Naruto by using a bunch of high-level jutsus to destroy them, as he would gas himself out, leading Naruto to finally having an opening and rushing in at the real Kakashi, as multiple of his clones had already been destroyed up to this point, and Naruto, getting closer and closer, would not even care about the bells, trying to simply slash Kakashi in half, who, using his battle experience, would use a genjutsu on Naruto, as using his IQ, he would trick Naruto to seeing a world in which Naruto would have successfully, or not successfully because then it'd be too obvious, but would fail to slash at him, seeing as Kakashi would pretty much end up countering him, and then another clone of Naruto would rip the bells. But suddenly Naruto would snap out of it and see that Kakashi had a kunai to his neck. Naruto at this point would smirk, saying, "Impressive," saying that he really is still lacking experience, as Naruto would say, "I guess I lost. Well, I know when to quit." So he would sit down, literally just looking at Kakashi, as he would sigh, and Kakashi, not really even having the energy to try to fight someone else right now, would simply go back to reading Make Up Paradise, as he would think in his head that that kid was dummy strong. It'd be at this point that Naruto would simply just wait for his team to do something, as eventually Sasuke would try to attack Kakashi, impressing him just like in the original. He pulls out all the stops, trying to one-up Naruto, but unfortunately for him, he's definitely not going to be putting out that kind of performance. That being said, Sasuke would still get captured, and this would lead Sakura, who is herself, would rush in being like, "Leave Sasuke alone," as she would get herself captured, rushing in blindly. And then suddenly we just kind of clip to Naruto just standing in front of both Sasuke and Sakura, as he'd be the only one that didn't get tied up to a stump. He would begin freely eating in front of both of them, as he would turn to Sakura, noticing her staring at the food, as he would say, "I'll give you some if you beg," as he would hold her face, like squeezing her cheeks, and Sakura would say, "I won't beg you, you piece of garbage," as Sakura would pretty much just tell him to get lost, and at this point Naruto would turn his attention towards Sasuke, who at this point was already staring daggers at him, as Naruto would say, "What, you got a problem with me?" As Sasuke would tell Naruto that he has no hope of getting those bells. He knows that, right? As Naruto would say, "Well, I got a heck of a lot closer than you did, and I'm not even going 100%. As Sasuke would think, he's bluffing, he has to be, but before he can say anything, his stomach would begin to grumble, as Naruto would begin laughing, cutting the tension in half, as he would say, "You're right," as he would cut the both of them loose and say, "It is better to keep my cards close to my chest," as he would then go on to pretty much tell them to eat as fast as they can, that when Kakashi arrives, they'll rip the bells off of his dead body if they have to. As Kakashi, like a couple of seconds later, right as Sasuke would have got the first bite into his mouth, would appear and say, "You," with Naruto getting ready to fight once again, pass. as he would then go on to explain that the true purpose of this test wasn't ever to actually get the bells, considering that most Genin wouldn't even be able to anyways, but to actually show that they can work as a team, saying that in the ninja world you have to work as a 3-man squad, and not being able to work together, it's detrimental. As at this point, he would go on to explain that they're going to go out and celebrate, and they would go out for some ramen. After this would happen, nothing really particularly interesting would go down, I don't think so, and so all we would pretty much get is 2 weeks, if not a week and a half, of D-rank missions passing, which Naruto would simply use this time to continue with his training, understanding that genjutsu is something he's going to have to build some sort of resistance to someone at some point, but since he has nobody to train that with, Naruto simply sticks to improving his physical abilities, his speed, and most importantly, his strength. Understanding that Kakashi, even though he may not look it, he was way too strong for his frame. And so Naruto would train on exactly that. Also focusing on his taijutsu abilities and doing a lot to find more abilities that he can use with the scythe. That being said, eventually the day would come when they would be assigned the Tazuna escort mission. And with that being the case, a drunken Tazuna would walk into the room saying, "This is what I paid for, Hiruzen? Come on, you gotta be kidding me." As he goes on to make a fool of himself, insult Team 7 a little bit, and finally meet them at the bridge the very next day, meet them at the gates the very next day. Once they would end up arriving there, they would continue, what the heck are they I don't know. They would make their way towards the land of the waves, where on their way there, just like you would probably expect, the 2 demon brothers would lunge out of a genjutsu they would create, and they would rush not Kakashi this time around, but actually Naruto, as they would drag the chains into Naruto's body, and Kakashi would watch, knowing that Naruto could definitely handle the 2 of them, but he'd react too late, and Naruto would actually end up getting skewered by the chains, as Naruto in this moment would literally have a deadly wound on his body, as Naruto's entire you would think he would die, you know what I mean, but in that moment Naruto would actually grab the chain that they used to tear him apart with, and using nothing but his physical strength would drag both of the demon brothers back, as he would grab his scythe and slash the both of them, killing them in an instant, as Naruto would say, "That was nothing." And from here, Kakashi would stare at Naruto's open and very deadly wound to anyone else, and would ask Naruto how the heck he's still standing, to which Naruto would say he has a high pain tolerance, and Kakashi would think that that's not just a high pain tolerance, this dude is practically unkillable, he would think, as Naruto would simply just not care about it and just continue walking forward, as Kakashi would say, "Wait, we have to treat this, not to mention we have to address Tazuna," as he would turn towards him and ask him why he lied about the nature of the mission. Tazuna would say, "I had to. Things are rough," and he goes on to tell a sob story, and after this would happen, Naruto would say, "Blah, blah, 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 blah. Come on, we're already halfway there, and Kakashi, you know me, you and Sasuke, not really Sakura, are more than enough to handle whatever mission this place has. I just killed them with practically no ease, and you could see how durable I am, so can we get going now? It's getting hot." As, they continue making their way, and Kakashi would think, whatever, I guess they could use the experience. As they would continue forward with the mission, and eventually a very thick mist would cover the entire area, to which finally you could hear the sounds of a blade swooshing through the air as you would just hear Kakashi say, "Dodge!" as the blade would go right past them, lodging into a wooden beam, as suddenly Zabuza would appear before them and say, "Hand over the bridge builder, Kakashi, or I'll have to kill every single one of your team members." As it'd be in this moment that Kakashi would say, "It's gonna be a little hard to get that done for you," as we would then get the iconic Kakashi versus Zabuza fight, which would ultimately lead to Zabuza trapping Kakashi in the water prison, catching him off guard at the last moment, to which Naruto would think, this dude pulled out all the stops against a Genin, but he let his guard down against someone like this? He'd think, what a joke. As suddenly, Naruto would go on to turn towards Sasuke. Sasuke, looking at him, would think the same thing, that they're not running, they're gonna fight, as, Naruto nods, and the both of them would pretty much create a little strategy. Let's say it's something different to what they did in the original, but the results would still be that Kakashi gets out of the what was it again? The situation he was in? He gets out of the water prison bubble. I literally just said it, my bad. Anyways, he gets out of the water prison bubble, and after this would happen, we would get round 2, Kakashi versus Zabuza. So, I was gonna say Zabuza wins, but no, Kakashi would win just like in the original, and suddenly we would have Haku end up arriving at the last second, as she would go on to fake kill Zabuza, and Naruto would simply watch as he leaves, it's not a she, and he would simply not think too much of it, because unlike Kakashi, who sort of had a little bit of awareness of the fact that it probably wasn't a mistracking ninja, Naruto, like I said, has never even been out of the village, other than that incident in the Forest of Death, but that doesn't even count. That doesn't even count as out of the village. Anyways, with that being the case, they end up arriving to the land of the waves, and Naruto sees the way that this village is, like the state it's in. Naruto would realize, like, dude, this is not cool. You know what I mean? Like, he remembers what it's like to be a kid dealing with that, and seeing other people hungry, Naruto would actually get annoyed. He would think these people might as well get put out of their misery. Death would be a better release than anything that they're living through here. As Naruto would make his way towards Tazuna's house, and suddenly Inari would end up introducing himself. And by introducing himself, I mean being super annoying and telling them they have no choice standing up to Gato, and they're gonna lose, and stop playing the hero, Inari would say. As Naruto, hearing this little kid yap about how they have no hope, would not care this time around. He's not gonna entertain that conversation. And so a couple of days would pass. Eventually Kakashi would wake up out of his chakra exertion, and finally we'd get the battle we've all been waiting for, the rematch on the bridge. Naruto, Sasuke, do you think you can handle him while I take care of Zabuza? Kakashi would say, as Naruto and Sasuke both nod, turning to each other and wondering who's gonna make the first move, as Haku suddenly would throw a Senbon at them, causing the battle to begin, as both of them would rush at Haku simultaneously at full speed, leading Haku, who at this point has never even met Naruto before, to rush at them, not taking them lightly, and would instantly start the battle, moving at speeds that Sasuke just couldn't compete with, and speeds that Naruto could barely even counter. But luckily for him, his immortality would help him greatly against an opponent like this, as he would take most of the damage and try over and over and over again to try to slash Haku with one clean strike. But as he would fail over and over, Naruto would suddenly smile after a couple of seconds would pass and say, "Playtime's over," as a Senbon would suddenly penetrate his heart and Naruto's skin would change colors. Sasuke, watching this all happen seemingly in slow motion, would say, "Naruto!" as he would see a grin appear on Naruto's face as he would rush Haku, creating hand signs for multiple clones, as they would all rush at Haku together, who's now forced into destroying them, quickly using his ice mirror jutsu, trapping Naruto in a place where he can destroy his clones faster than he can create them. As he would do just that and try to kill Naruto, as everything he does would be completely useless, shocking Haku at this, but not only him but Sasuke as well, who sees Naruto having been wounded by hundreds of Senbon, but he's just standing there, as suddenly Naruto would begin adapting, as Haku's movement would begin being easier and easier to track by the second. Haku would start blitzing from mirror to mirror as he would start going full speed, and Naruto in one moment would predict Haku's next move as he would slash in the air, cutting Haku in half as he was jumping to the next ice mirror. It'd be at this point that every single one of the ice mirrors would dissolve, as Naruto would lick the blood from his scythe, watching Haku's body hit the ground as it would fall in two parts, and Sasuke, who would have been watching this whole time, could swear that he could see Naruto's eyes glowing red with a slit-like mark, but it was so quick he could barely notice it. And at this point, Naruto would go on to rip out every Senbon in his body and turn back to normal, as he would say, "That was fun, let's do it again sometime," to Haku's dead body, as he would laugh and walk past, as he would simply watch Kakashi kill Zabuza, who would pierce him with the Chidori, having no Haku to stop him this time. And after this happens, Naruto would turn to see a boat carrying dozens of men on it, as Gato would walk up and say, "You want something done right, you gotta do it yourself," as he walks towards Haku's body and kicks it, telling his men to take care of them. as in a flash, Naruto would smirk and rush in like Zabuza, slaughtering each and every single one of them, as a pool of blood would be left behind, and he would appear to Gato like the Grim Reaper himself, as he would ask, "Any last words?" And Gato would say, "Wait, I'll bet." "What were you gonna say, old man?" "Oh wait, he's dead," Naruto would say as he would chuckle, going on to turn back towards Team 7 as Sakura would look at him with a look of fear in her eyes, like she had just seen Orochimaru in the Forest of Death. Sasuke would stare at Naruto and see an aura of just like of a reaper behind him. Like, you guys know how in the original story of Naruto always has the nine tails behind him and it's like the roar and stuff. Naruto in this timeline is gonna have like a reaper like thing with white skin, like kind of looking like Hidan when he turns on his Jashin mode, but it's like literally a reaper. It just looks so freaking creepy. But the point is, Naruto would make his way towards the team, and Kakashi, seeing that from Naruto, would think back to his what's the word I'm looking for? Anbu days. He would think back to his Anbu days and just stare at Naruto's back as they would make their way back towards the village. The trip back would be fairly quiet considering what just took place, and Naruto would wonder what the heck's wrong with them. Like, why do they seem so shaken up about it? As they're getting closer and closer to the village, Naruto would ask, "What's your guys' deal? You guys are so shaken up about me killing a bunch of crooks. You act like you guys wanted them to live or something." As Sakura would say, "It's not that, Naruto, it's the fact that you killed them with so much ease. It looked natural to you, like you've done this before." As Naruto would say, "Well, that's because I have." As Naruto would look up into the sky, close his eyes, put his hands behind his head, and just continue walking in a kind of in a funny way, as he would say, "A couple of years ago on my birthday, a couple of guys tried to murder me because I was the nine-tailed Jinchuriki. I don't think they even understand how that works. They called me a demon and beat me mercilessly. I was gonna die that day, you know? But luckily, fate had its own plans. I survived, I killed them, and I realized that in this world, it's kill or be killed. The strong survive, the weak die." Naruto hearing that, or sorry, Sasuke hearing that would think, "I bet that's the kind of ideology Itachi had when he killed my clan." Sasuke would hear that, get madder at Itachi, but also dislike Naruto even more, thinking that he lives by probably the same philosophy, if not the same exact one. That being said, Sasuke would kind of just go on to ignore Naruto, and the weird feeling that he has is they would finally make their way towards the village, and once there, they make their way towards Hiruzen's office, where they all explain what went down during the mission, and Hiruzen and Kakashi would stay back to talk about Naruto's new showings of power, with Kakashi saying that he feels like Naruto has some sort of immortality or something that allows him to take an incredible amount of damage, because during that mission, Naruto sustained at bare minimum 3 blows that should have been life-threatening to anybody else. In fact, saying that to him, half of what happened to Naruto would have murdered him, or killed him is the better word I would have used. Anyways, after hearing that, Hiruzen would say, "I understand, Kakashi, but at the moment there's not much that we can do for Naruto. He has chosen his path and we have to respect it." At this point, Kakashi would say, "I understand, Lord Third," as, you know, Hiruzen would kind of nod and say, "Very well then. Have you told the kids about the Chunin exams yet?" As Kakashi would say, "I haven't, but I'm about to." Simultaneously, Naruto would be walking throughout the village and he would see a little kid getting beat up by Kankuro. Naruto, seeing this, would just kind of walk past, not caring at all, and we wouldn't even get the sand situation. You could say Sasuke would arrive and maybe help Konohamaru, but I doubt it. Plus, I don't think Kankuro would have actually done anything. I still think Gaara would have been like, "Leave the brat alone," which would have left to Konohamaru being safe and sound. Anyways, with that being the case, Kakashi would finally tell the team about the Chunin exams, and after doing this, Naruto would pretty much just proceed to continue doing his training. It's not like he hadn't been doing that. Naruto would prepare himself for the Chunin exams, thinking about what kind of challenges he'll face in there. As he would think, doesn't matter anyway, not like they'll be able to kill me. As, you know, we'd pretty much get a really cocky version of Naruto at this point, and finally, the kids would make their way towards the Chunin exams tower. Once they arrive inside, just like in the original, Sasuke would still be challenged by Rock Lee. I don't really see that changing, but What I do see changing is Naruto's outlook on this situation. He's not going to feel like, hey, he's ignoring me, you know? Instead, he's kind of just going to have a more nonchalant approach of literally not caring. Simply watching as Sasuke would get beaten to the ground and Naruto would think, well, that was fun. After this would happen, they'd make their way towards the Chunin exam area where they originally would meet all the characters that were there and a whole bunch of other ninjas that would go on to fail. Naruto at this point would just kind of ignore them, sit down and close his eyes, and Ino would kind of just stare at him thinking, oh wow, he's so, you know, you can fill in the blank at that point. But the point is, after this would happen, we would essentially get a scene of Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura taking the exam. They would all pass like they do in the original. I think this time Naruto wouldn't give a speech to inspire more people, so I think that the number of applicants who pass would drop drastically, but Naruto still passes. I can see Naruto kind of thinking that this is a gamble, but he's gonna go for it. He's never been one to shy away from a challenge. As we would finally get the team making their way to the Forest of Death. Here, I'm thinking that everything's gonna go down much like it was in the original, and what I mean by that is that Naruto and Sasuke are both gonna bicker maybe a little bit about who should be the leader, but ultimately it's two in favor of one. Sasuke wants to be leader, Sakura wants him to be leader, so Sasuke would become leader and tell them the little hand sign or gesture that they're gonna do in case they get separated. Naruto after this would go on to take a leak, and while he's doing this, he would get swallowed whole by a gigantic snake from the forest. Naruto having this happen to him would get absolutely triggered, because at this point, he's literally been swallowed by a snake and he has a bunch of snake goo all over him. Naruto at this point would go on to grab his scythe and cut the snake open from where he was at in his stomach. At this point, Naruto would walk away as he would pretty much like just be in a really sour mood. After this happens, Naruto would go on to find his team, and when he arrives, Naruto would see that Sasuke and Sakura were both at a standstill with Orochimaru. Naruto seeing this would wonder what the heck's the holdup, why don't they fight? And that's when he would feel it. Orochimaru would turn his attentions towards him as the bloodlust Naruto would feel would cause a devious smile to appear on his face. He'd say, "You're just like me," as he would rush in with a scythe trying to slash at Orochimaru, who would weave hand signs for a snake jutsu as a bunch of snakes would come flying at Naruto, and Naruto would cut most of them, but some of them would actually latch onto him, biting onto Naruto. As Naruto would rip like 3 snakes off of him saying, "Was that supposed to hurt?" And Orochimaru would think, "Fascinating. That poison should be deadly enough to knock a grown man on his behind." As you know, Orochimaru at this point would rush in towards Naruto and see, I wonder how he fares in taijutsu. As they would get into a taijutsu battle with Naruto holding up pretty decently, I'd like to say. Orochimaru at this point would start to kind of like turn up the thrusters a little bit as he would start trying a little bit more, and once he does that, Naruto would start struggling greatly. He can't keep up with the experience, he can't keep up with the unpredictability of Orochimaru, and Orochimaru would start making child's play of Naruto, eventually saying, "You're no fun," as he would kick Naruto away, weaving hand signs for a gigantic fireball jutsu, as Naruto, seeing that thing coming straight towards him, would smile. Orochimaru, taking note of this, would see as Naruto would come out of the flames completely, not unscathed, but unharmed looking. You know what I mean? As Naruto would be covered in the Jashin marks, as Orochimaru would say, "So you're like him, I see." From this point, Orochimaru would say, "You're interesting, but you're not who I'm here for." As he would then go on to blitz towards Naruto's direction, you know, him having his Jashin mode activated, as he would then go on to use a jutsu to pretty much knock Naruto out in one fell swoop, not killing him obviously because of the fact that, you know, he's immortal, but because he knows that Naruto has like a higher tolerance to what kind of jutsus he could use, he would use something that would like knock Naruto out instantly. It does heavy damage and it would probably kill most people, but Naruto would simply get knocked out as Sasuke would have already, you know, stabbed himself in the leg, seeing Orochimaru heading his way, but Sasuke just couldn't react fast enough, and Orochimaru, scaring him, seeing that he took Naruto out in one blow, would get bit on the neck as Orochimaru would piece out of there as quickly as possible, and a couple of hours later, Naruto and Sasuke would both wake up inside of a strange cave to the sounds of fighting. Naruto would look outside as he would see Rock Lee facing off against a couple of ninjas, with Naruto noting he needs to help take out the trash. Naruto would make his way outside as he would instantly rush towards the direction of one of the sound genin, and he would use his sight to slash them, but they would use their sound ability to soften the ground, sinking into it as Naruto would miss. And at this point, he would aim his gauntlet at the direction of Naruto, shooting an attack of sound, which would actually burst Naruto's eardrums. But Naruto would say, "What? Is that it? You think not hearing's gonna?" As two one of the members of the sound genin team would come in and slash at the back of Naruto's neck, with Naruto saying, "What? That's it?" From here, Naruto would go on to activate his Jashin mode as he would slash towards the direction of one of the ninja, as his blood would go up into the air and Naruto would smirk, licking the blood that would have splattered on his face. At this moment, Naruto would have actually ended up causing something interesting. You guys know Hidan's ability pretty much lets him create a circle, and from then on he starts to actually like inflict damage on himself, which then inflicts damage on the other person. Instead of that, or maybe I'll still add that ability, I want Naruto's ability to pretty much have to do with like paralyzation. Think Stain from My Hero Academia. Naruto licking the blood would cause that ninja to be completely unable to move, as at this point Naruto would smirk and just kill him in front of both of his teammates. Dosu, who would have seen that happen, would say, "Wait, we'll leave." But before he could even like get the chance to drop his scroll and begin walking away with his tail between his legs, Sasuke would wake up, having his curse mark powers activated and rushing Dosu, as unlike in the original, Sasuke would go on to kill Dosu with all the rage that he had pent up and the influence of the curse mark taking over. Dosu at this point, kind of being freaking dead, would proceed to just, what the heck would he proceed to do? He'd proceed to die. What am I on? Anyways, Dosu's dead, and after this happens, Naruto and Sasuke would both turn towards each other, as Naruto would say, well, look at who decided to wake up. Sasuke turns to Naruto and they would be about to fight, when Sakura would jump in the way and say, "Sasuke, please don't." This would stop the fight from breaking out, unfortunately, because Sasuke low-key would have got beat to a pulp, because Naruto definitely would have eventually awakened the Kurama powers. That being said, after this, we would get the team making their way towards the Chunin exams, where Sasuke would have a seal placed on him by Kakashi, and Kakashi would run into Orochimaru like in the original. After this would happen, we get a battle between Kiba and Naruto. It'd be a very, very easy battle for Naruto. I'm not even going to cover it. It's just bad for Kiba. He's not competing with this version of Naruto. Following this, we get the rest of the battles, and I don't believe Naruto's still going to have the same affection for Hinata. He's going to be like, he's not going to be thinking, "Oh, he took it too far," because Naruto fights like that as well. Like, he takes it way too far. So with that being the case, he simply looks at Neji as an opponent and nothing else. And we would obviously have Neji, not Neji, but Ino in the background, just kind of staring at Naruto, being like, he's so cool, you know what I mean? Like, the dude is aura farming at this point, you know what I mean? But after this would happen, we'd pretty much get the 1 month of training, and more like the original, Kakashi would still go on to train Sasuke, so I don't really see that changing. But during Naruto's training, while Naruto trains with Jiraiya, let me change the word, he would be told from Jiraiya about the summoning jutsu. But the thing is, Naruto's not with summoning toads. He doesn't really like that. He's like, "Toads? Are you kidding me?" He would literally completely reject the aspect of signing a toad contract and would ask Jiraiya if there's any other thing he could summon. Jiraiya would say that at that point, pause real quick. I have to say this. I'm not entirely positive how the summoning jutsu work, if you have to specifically have a contract, or say if you're able to just summon something with your blood and then like a random animal will appear. I don't know if that's how it works, but let's just assume that that is the case, and Naruto's like, "Yeah, I don't want a toad summoning contract." So he would use a summoning jutsu, put his blood on the thing, and he would create a summoning pact with snakes. This would mean that Naruto's going to be having the same summons that Sasuke has in the original, but there's going to be one specific snake. The one in the thumbnail, the little white one, that Naruto's going to be especially fond of. We're going to be calling it Icarus. Icarus is going to be Naruto's snake, and it's going to be the one that literally, like, Naruto's going to summon it on his first try. Icarus is going to be summoned, and Jiraiya's going to be like, "Really, kid? That's all you managed to summon?" Naruto at this point would smirk, as he would ask him if you'd pretty much create the summoning pack with it, and the snake would bite into his thumb, as Naruto would place his hand on the contract and he would smirk, saying, "Well, Icarus, it's gonna be fun working with you." Icarus at this point would climb on top of Naruto, as Naruto would say, "Let's have some fun." And at this point, Icarus would literally just wrap around Naruto's body, as Naruto at this point would wonder, "How strong are you?" To which Icarus would proceed to pretty much come off of Naruto, as it would grow in leaps and bounds. It starts like growing as we speak, right? It starts growing to the size of Manda. This would shock Jiraiya, who would say, "What? He summoned that on his first try?" And Naruto would say, "We're gonna work well together, you know that?" As Icarus would like shrink back down, and it would like flicker its tongue, its eyes being red and staring at Naruto. As at this point, Naruto would smirk, and you know, over the course of this time, he would have learned a bit more taijutsu from Jiraiya, a bit more chakra control with the Nine Tails, which means that now Naruto's actually going to be able to use that power more at will, and he's going to be able to use not the One Tails cloak, but the No Tail cloak. That said, we eventually would find ourselves with Naruto and Neji faced off against each other during the Chunin exams, and Naruto, staring at Neji, mind you, because he has no hard feelings towards him, would simply say, "Let's have a good match." To which Neji would pretty much go on to say, "Yeah, let's." Naruto at this point, holding one hand behind his back, would like cut it, as it would start bleeding, and Naruto would use the summoning jutsu, as you know, Naruto would summon a small snake that would go on his shoulder. This would not be Icarus. Naruto would have actually ended up summoning two snakes, one that would serve as a distraction and another that instantly jumped into the ground and began like digging around, making its way towards Neji. As Naruto shoots the other snake towards the direction of Neji, and Neji says, "Really? This is the best you've got?" At this point, Neji would go on to just easily disperse the snake, sending it back to where it came from, as Naruto would say, "No, that's not all I've got." As at this point, Naruto would actually smile as Icarus would come out of the ground, wrapping itself around Neji, who, mind you, he has a 360-degree view, but he can't see underground. That's how Naruto was able to uppercut him in the original. So this would lead Icarus to wrapping around him in such a way that leads him to not being able to move, as Naruto would smirk. Walking closer, as Icarus would bite down onto Neji's neck, causing a little bit of blood to trickle down, as Naruto would lick it and say, "Thanks, Icarus." At this point, Naruto would tell Neji he's completely paralyzed, and unless he gives up now, he's gonna die. He would stare at Neji's eyes with full-on seriousness, and Neji would look back at him saying, "I won't quit." As at this point, Naruto would raise his scythe, aim it at Neji, and go to swing, as Neji, closing his eyes, gritting his teeth, would say, I give up. As Naruto would stare at Neji and say, "Smart man." At this point, Neji would look at Naruto and think that he cheated in a way, you know what I mean? Being like, he shouldn't have been able to do this. Actually, I'm actually thinking about something. Was Naruto actually allowed to use summonings in this battle? I'm not sure, but if he wasn't, let's say he was, because, you know, it's not like he whipped out a master summon, which is what the other people think. But anyways, after this would happen, we would get Temari versus Shikamaru, and then we get, I don't know, random characters fighting, as finally we would get the Gaara versus Sasuke match. This would play out entirely like in the original. Everything from Sasuke arriving late, to Sasuke piercing Gaara, to him going womp womp, you know what I mean, and making his way into the forest. And then we pretty much get Naruto making his way towards the direction of Sasuke, trying to take Gaara out for himself. He's not going there because he's like, "I need to help Sasuke." He literally just wants to prove that he could beat another Jinchuriki. And Naruto would think to himself, "I guess I'm gonna start an order," since he's going from the One Tail all the way to the Eight Tail. Naruto's made it his personal goal to crush them. As from here, we'd make Naruto finally meet up with Kankuro, who would stand in his way, not allowing him to pass. As Naruto seeing this would literally be like, "Out of the way!" rushing right past him, blitzing by him and slashing Kankuro's puppet, destroying it. As Kankuro would see his strongest puppet have gotten massacred by Naruto, he'd think, "That's a monster." At this point, Naruto would rush towards the direction of the forest, going deeper and deeper, as Temari would be in his way. Before Naruto could actually rush at her and probably kill her, Shikamaru would come in and tell Naruto that he's got this, as he would handle Temari, and Naruto would finally arrive towards the Sasuke versus Gaara battle. As Sasuke would literally be about to get killed, Naruto would straight up just watch as Sasuke would get sent flying by Gaara, who inflicts some crazy damage on Sasuke. As Naruto says, "Good distraction," he would slash towards the beast as it would be cut open, but then it would heal back up with more sand covering it up. As Naruto would look and say, "I'm glad you're not an easy opponent." As at this point, Naruto would close his eyes and the Nine Tails Kyuubi chakra would go off around him. Naruto would pretty much look at, Gaara, as Gaara would be in his half-tailed Shukaku transformation state and tell Naruto he's gonna kill him with a smile on his face, as Naruto would say, "Well, I hope you can." As at this point, Naruto would use his Hidan transformation, the Jashin form, as he rushes in towards the direction of Gaara and slashes at Gaara's arm. At this point, Gaara's arm would fall off, like the sand one, and Gaara would actually notice that a bunch of damage was actually inflicted on him. Not only was his arm cut off, the sand one, but the part of his belly area was actually slashed, and Naruto had not only done that, but it also slashed his stomach, obviously stomach, as he would lick some of the blood off of the tip of his scythe, and Gaara would be completely paralyzed. At this point, Naruto would stand in front of Gaara and tell him that he's dead, to which at this point Gaara's eyes would go blank white and he would transform into the giant Shukaku state. At this point, Naruto would say, "This is getting more and more fun," as he would summon Icarus and tell Icarus to, pretty much wrap around him that he's gonna take out Gaara. Gaara would actually end up being at the tip of Shukaku like he was in the original, and Naruto using Icarus wrapping around Shukaku would cause Shukaku to not move, as Naruto, getting on top of the Shukaku form itself would see Gaara knocked out and unconscious. Naruto, realizing that Gaara was completely helpless, would go to kill him with a smile, like the dude was 100% gonna kill him. But in Naruto's head, he almost saw himself in Gaara, like the little kid that was scared, didn't want to die, and was gonna be killed just for being a Jinchuriki. As Naruto seeing this would actually feel bad, with some sand rushing at Naruto trying to keep him away from Gaara, but Naruto would dodge out of the way, cutting it with the scythe, and then rush towards the direction of Gaara as he would hit him in the head, waking Gaara up. At this point, Gaara and Naruto would both fall to the ground, as Naruto would fall, in a really cool superhero-like pose, and Gaara would just fall to the ground asking, "Why didn't you kill me?" As Naruto would put his scythe back where it goes and say, "I don't know. But for now, you're alive, so you can leave the village and never do this again, or I'll hunt you down. Got it?" As he would walk away, picking Sasuke's body up, which was a couple of feet away, and he would take him to the hospital. On his way home, Naruto would actually be approached by Jiraiya, who would rush towards him saying, "Naruto, I have a mission. Would you want to go with me?" As Naruto would say, "What kind of mission? Also, what's the pay?" As Jiraiya would say, "Well, it's about getting your name out there, Naruto, do you want to go?" Naruto would sigh as he would say, "Alright, old man, I'm game." From here, Jiraiya and Naruto would pack, and the very next day, or actually a couple of hours later, they would actually leave to make their way to complete this mission. And this is obviously the search for Tsunade mission. They'd make their way there, and on their way there, Jiraiya would show off to Naruto using the technique of the Rasengan to actually take out some low-level thug who was trying to mess with them about searching for the information. After Naruto saw this higher-level jutsu, Naruto would have definitely had interest in this, and I could see Jiraiya beginning to teach Naruto. Now, obviously, this Naruto was a little bit more of a prodigious nature to him, so what we're going to be having happen is making it so that Naruto is actually going to be having so much of an easier time to actually learn this jutsu, which is going to be so beneficial to Naruto. But with that being the case, Naruto, on his way to the hotel, which they would actually be attacked by Itachi and Kisame, would actually dang near have the jutsu down packed, because Naruto would have learned at the same speed that Boruto would have learned in the Boruto timeline. With that being the case, Naruto would pretty much end up making his way towards a town where Naruto would say, "This old man's gonna be the death of me. Doesn't he realize that those girls just want money from him? They're like vacuum cleaners trying to suck him dry. Every last penny." But whatever, it's not like it's any of my concern. At this point, Naruto would continue his training, nearly mastering the Rasengan, mind you, as he would suddenly hear 2 knocks at the door. Naruto, hearing that, would say, "Who the heck could that be?" Naruto would make his way towards the door, and having no way to really see who's behind it, would just kind of open it, being greeted to a large man with a blue skin and a large sword, and Itachi Uchiha. Those crimson Sharingan staring back at him would remind him of Sasuke, and then it would click. That's his older brother. In a moment, Naruto would actually go on to take his scythe out and would slash at the direction of Itachi, killing him quickly, as he would then turn towards Kisame and and would actually go on to slash at him as well, but Kisame would actually be able to repel the attack with his blade, as Naruto would say, "One down, one more to go." As this would happen, Naruto and Kisame would engage in a battle, as Kisame would shoot a water bullet jutsu at Naruto, destroying the wall behind Naruto, who had barely dodged, as Kisame would come in and slash Naruto in his stomach, nearly ripping him in half as he would send him flying, and Naruto would cough out blood. Naruto at this point would turn towards Kisame as he would say, "Good, show me more," in a maniacal tone, as Kisame would smirk, and Naruto and Kisame would go at each other. At this point, Naruto would actually slash Kisame in half, as Kisame would fall down onto the ground, and Naruto would simply say, "Pathetic." It'd be at this point that Naruto would hear the ching noise of the Sharingan's genjutsu. You guys know the one. I couldn't really create it with my mouth, but he would hear that noise of the Sharingan, and Naruto would quickly snap out of it, realizing that had just been a genjutsu. At this point, Itachi would kick Naruto square in the stomach as hard as he possibly could, sending him crashing into one of the beds in the walls. As Naruto would fall down onto the ground, gasping for air, Naruto would look up to see Itachi Sharingan, as Naruto would get enraged at the fact that he's able to handle whatever physical torment they can dish out, but that damn Sharingan is always getting in his way. Genjutsu, it's always an issue for him. Naruto would get angrier and angrier, and because of this, Naruto would slowly stand up as Itachi and Kisame are just looking at him. Kisame walking towards Naruto saying, "What do you say I kill the brat now? We just take his corpse. You think we can draw the Jinchuriki out of him that way?" As Itachi would say, "Leave the brat alive. Remember, we were told take him in alive under any means necessary." As Kisame would say, "You're no fun, Itachi." At this point, he would get closer and closer to Naruto, who was still gasping for air. Mind you, he's immortal, but that doesn't mean he doesn't feel pain. That being said, Naruto would then be interrupted, or this situation would be interrupted by Jiraiya, who would come crashing down through the ceiling and would say, "I'm here." He would then turn to see Naruto and say, "Look at the pitiful state they have you in. I was able to escape the snares of that woman you sent." As he would turn towards Itachi, having realized that the only reason that woman had wanted all this talk with him was because she was trapped in a genjutsu, and she was meant to be used as a distraction for Jiraiya. That being said, with Jiraiya now here, everything had been completely flipped on its head. But unfortunately for Jiraiya, his really cool entrance would quickly be ruined by Sasuke, who comes running in through the building screaming, "Itachi!" As this would be happening, Itachi would dodge the Chidori, grabbing his younger brother by the neck as he would slam him into the wall, and in 1 second flat would instantly put him in a genjutsu, telling him, "You're still too weak." Sasuke, at hearing this, would think, as he would just fall unconscious, and Jiraiya, seeing this, using one of his toads, would actually latch onto Sasuke's body as he would pull him towards him using his toad tongue. It'd be at this point that Jiraiya would say, "If you guys want to fight, we'll have one." He would use his toad mouth jutsu, as both of them would be trapped, and it'd be at this point that Itachi would use his Amaterasu to get out of there. They would both escape quickly using the black flames, and after this would take place, Naruto and Jiraiya would find themselves back on the road, with Sasuke having been taken back to the village and being placed in the hospital, with Jiraiya explaining that unless they get Tsunade back, her and Kakashi are going to be stuck in comas, considering the fact that Kakashi also had a little bit of a run-in with them. Naruto, hearing this, would ask Jiraiya if there's any counter to that jutsu that Itachi was using, genjutsu. What can he do against that? Jiraiya would say that he either has to build a very powerful resistance or simply learn to fight an opponent by not looking directly into their eyes, which is extremely difficult. Jiraiya would say that even for him it's very, very hard, and he doubts he could have won that fight with both of them, considering he couldn't even look Itachi in his eyes. At this point, Naruto would nod and ask Jiraiya if there's anything else other than just building up a tolerance for genjutsu. Jiraiya at this point would actually begin to explain that there is one thing that Naruto has that no one else does, and that is a Jinchuriki, explaining that if you become a perfect Jinchuriki, genjutsu should be practically easy to break out of due to the fact that you have someone else who can constantly snap you out of it. Jiraiya, after explaining this, would also say that, but due to the fact that, his Jinchuriki is probably the most difficult one to tame and even hold inside of you, he would say that that seems a bit impossible now. He then goes on to explain that there was someone else who had a very hard time against Uchihas back in the day, and Naruto would say, oh yeah, and who's that? As Jiraiya would say, Tobirama. Naruto, hearing this name, would say, are you talking about the second Hokage? And Jiraiya would say, that's the one, ding ding ding, as he would smile and go on to pretty much get serious before telling Naruto what had happened during the First Great Shinobi World War and how everything was in utter chaos with the Senjus and the Uchihas. Naruto, after hearing this, would then be explained a new jutsu, and it would be told to him Naruto would actually have the Bringer of Darkness jutsu introduced to him by Jiraiya, who would explain to Naruto that if he wants to counter something like that, this is what Tobirama used, but it's an incredibly difficult jutsu, and seeing as he's already trying to master an S-rank jutsu, he doesn't think it's a good time for him to teach him that. Naruto would say, wait, we can put the Rasengan training at home, I would much rather learn this. Jiraiya from here would go on to say that he knows the gist of it, but Naruto's gonna have to work through most of it on his own, saying that Jiraiya, he did want to learn it, but eventually it was just too annoying and he decided to work on something else. That being said, Naruto and Jiraiya would eventually stumble into the exact bar that Lady Tsunade would be at, and once they would arrive, Jiraiya would smile, telling the bartender to bring him around. At this point, the bartender would bring two, which would actually shock Jiraiya, and Naruto, looking towards it, would say, guess I'm gonna try my first drink, as Jiraiya would say, no you don't, and he would go on to tell him that the kid's clearly not 21. The man looking at him would say, my apologies sir, as Naruto would actually be kind of shocked that someone had even thought that he was that old, but Naruto looking at himself and realizing that, yeah, he had gotten very tall. Naruto at this point was already as tall as the Shippuden half of himself, and with that look that he has going on, I'm not really shocked that people think he's that old. That being said, Naruto still doesn't have the cool little tattoos on the neck of the character that I have for the thumbnail, but other than that, Naruto looks pretty sick. That being said, after this would happen, Naruto and Jiraiya would finally have a conversation with Tsunade, and judging by the fact that this is not something I'm too interested in, we're just going to be completely glazing over this. I can easily see Naruto eventually, after Tsunade would reject Jiraiya and say that the Hokage position is useless, Naruto would just flat out say, Jiraiya, why are we here getting this lame woman who has pretty much lost any reason to live? It's clear she doesn't want to do anything but gamble and live like a loser. As Tsunade, hearing that, would say, what'd you say, brat? As she would shatter her glass in her hand, and she would say, you better teach your kid some manners, Jiraiya. As it would be at this point that Jiraiya would say, Naruto, please, calm down, don't say that. Naruto would say, nah, this lady's literally wasting her life away and she has the gall to talk about the Hokage. None of those men might have been perfect, but they sure as hell were a lot better than her. As Tsunade would smash the table and would go on to ask the kid to take it outside, as he would look at her and say, I'll gladly do that. It'd be at this point that they would both stand outside and Jiraiya would say, well, how about this, Tsunade? You want to fight the kid for disrespecting you, that's fine, but at the end of the day, you have to acknowledge it's a kid. How's about this? Here, how about a little wager? If the kid can manage to land even a single blow on you, you have to come to the village and become Hokage. And if he doesn't, well, he'll pay off all your debts. It'd be at this point that Tsunade would say, what, seriously? And Naruto would say, what, you can't expect me to do that? Clearly faking it, knowing that Jiraiya is doing something. As Jiraiya would say, yup, I promise. It'd be at this point that Naruto would nod and say, fine, As Tsunade would say, well, looks like I finally am gonna win something. She would rush in towards the direction of Naruto, who would quickly dodge out of the way, gaining a little bit of space, as Naruto would weave hand signs for the bringer of darkness jutsu. It'd be at this point that Tsunade would be blinded just long enough for Naruto to form the Rasengan in one hand. He's not doing it with the shadow clone, Naruto straight up does it the proper way. He rushes at Tsunade so fast that she couldn't even register it, because obviously, she's blind, and then he would smash the Rasengan into her stomach, sending her crashing into a brick wall, which she would go flying through. Tsunade, feeling that blow, would get insanely triggered, and she would smash out of it as her eyes would turn red, like on some anime funny moment type stuff, and she would just rush at Naruto before then just punching this man square in the stomach, causing Naruto's guts and blood to just go flying out of his mouth, as Naruto would just spit it all out and he would go crashing onto the floor, with Tsunade saying, "Oh, I'm sorry." She would quickly apologize, realizing that she practically could have just killed that kid. She would go over towards Naruto, who would pick himself up laughing, and with all the blood coming down his mouth, he would say, "Good one, lady. Guess you're not as weak as I thought." As Tsunade, realizing that Naruto's standing up after a practical death blow, would be absolutely stunned, asking who the heck this kid is. As Jiraiya would say, "That's Naruto Uzumaki, my new student." As Tsunade would say, "Well, you got a heck of a student on your hands." She would go over towards Naruto and use a bit of healing jutsu on him, as she would say, "I'll return to the village." As it'd be at this point that she would go on to explain to Jiraiya, however, that there is one loose end. Orochimaru came to contact her, and because this time around she lost the bet before leaving, not like in the original how Naruto attempted to use the Rasengan on her and wasn't able to, and she gave him an extra week. In this timeline, things are going to be a little bit different, because she's going to flat out come out and say the truth. Hey, Orochimaru came to me and this is the plan. Let's take him out tomorrow. Jiraiya and Tsunade, both, aware of the fact that this dude was responsible for the death of their sensei, would both nod at each other and would agree to a plan to taking Orochimaru out tomorrow. The next day, Orochimaru would be encountered by Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Naruto. And unlike in the original, where Orochimaru was easily able to, take out Jiraiya and Tsunade, in this specific timeline of events, we're actually going to be having Naruto face off against Kabuto, and this battle is going to be a really, really interesting one, because they could easily see Kabuto catching Naruto off guard using his scalpel jutsu and just pretty much scrambling Naruto's senses. But Naruto would straight up just not care. The dude would proceed to stab his own scythe into those nerves and just cut them. I was about to say Hidan, but no. Kabuto at this moment would say, "You're insane." As Naruto would say, "Am I?" He would lick his own blood at this moment, as Kabuto, turning towards Naruto, would see him weaving hand signs with one hand, as he would say, "Bringer of darkness jutsu." And at that moment, Kabuto would be completely engulfed in darkness. He wouldn't be able to see a thing, as Naruto would slash Kabuto's arm off, clean off, with Kabuto falling onto the ground and holding his arm up, trying to stop the bleeding. It'd be at this point that Orochimaru, realizing that Kabuto is about to die and that he's gonna have to face off against Naruto, who is very competent this time around, Jiraiya and Tsunade with no arms. This dude's not an idiot. He proceeds to reverse summon himself out of there and say, "Till we meet again," as he would leave, and Naruto and the rest of them would return to the village, where once they get there, Tsunade would quickly go on to heal Kakashi and Sasuke, and just like in the original, we would get the hospital fight. Sasuke, waking up after his coma, would be extremely pissed off at everything. He's angry at how weak he is. He's angry at the fact that Naruto's so much stronger than him. He's angry at the fact that he's stagnating here at this village and that his brother thinks that he's truly that weak. Sasuke just can't feel good at this moment, and he hates everything about that. And wouldn't you know it, Naruto would actually walk into the room to check up on Sasuke, who supposedly should have woken up today. As Naruto would enter the room, he would ask Sasuke how he's doing. As Sasuke would say, "I'm doing fine, Naruto." Naruto would go on to pretty much explain that he got quite the beating by his brother back there. As Sasuke would look at him and say, "Shut the heck up, Naruto. What would you know about that?" As Naruto and Sasuke would both they just start exchanging words, you know what I mean? And this eventually would lead to a conflict where both of them make their way onto the roof, with Sasuke saying he's gonna wipe that smug smile off his face. And so, Sasuke would get into a fight with Naruto, in which, unlike in the original, where Sasuke would pretty much wipe the floor with Naruto, without the Rasengan and Chidori clash, like he was doing better than Naruto during that fight. In this specific timeline, not only is Sasuke not winning just the taijutsu exchange, but when it comes to the Rasengan and Chidori clash, Naruto absolutely would just decimate Sasuke. This man proceeds to create a Rasengan, and right as they're about to clash, Kakashi would stop it just like in the original. Sasuke seeing this and realizing that not only is his jutsu stronger than me, but he's just stronger than me, point blank period, he just loses himself to the anger, to the jealousy, to the hatred, and this would easily be a perfect concoction for Sasuke to just give in to the dark side. Literally, he would end up joining the Sound 4, and he would make his way towards Orochimaru's base, having the curse mark seal 2 placed on him, as he gets placed into the box like I'd already said. After this would happen, the entire Rookie 9 team would be sent toward to get Sasuke, and we would have Shikamaru being the leader just like in the original. Now remember, the first problem that they end up running into when they're faced off to find Sasuke would be this gigantic sand or like earth dome that would just suck their chakra and just sap everything out of them. In this specific timeline, they still break out just like they do in the original, and Choji goes on to fight against Jirobo, Neji goes on to fight against Spider Guy, Shikamaru fights against Tayuya, and Kiba would fight off against Sakon and Yakon. Naruto in this moment would rush off towards Sasuke, with each of them pretty much sacrificing themselves to bring Sasuke back, and Naruto's just confused. He's like, why? Like, Sasuke's annoying, he brought this upon himself, and now he has to go retrieve him. Naruto's just irritated, and all he wants to do is complete the mission. It's not like Naruto has some sort of grandiose connection to Sasuke, or he's his best friend or something like that. Naruto would just think to himself that Sasuke's just a spoiled brat, and he doesn't care whether he lives or dies, frankly. That being the case, Naruto would eventually find himself face to face with Kimimaro, as Naruto would say, "Get out of the way or die." And Kimimaro in this moment would simply, get into a fighting stance, as Naruto would say, "Die it is." He would rush in towards Kimimaro as he would swing his scythe towards him just to land the finishing blow instantly, but Kimimaru's bones would shoot out of his body as they would create a shield to actually protect him and not let the scythe be ripped out. So not only did Naruto get blocked, but the scythe is actually stuck on those bones, and Naruto couldn't even pull it out. After this, Kimimaro would kick Naruto away, as Naruto would say, "So you got a bone kicking, Genkai." Haven't seen that one before, as Naruto would rush in, weaving hand signs for a couple of wind-style jutsus, as Kimimaro would dodge them easily, rushing in to engage Naruto in a taijutsu battle, as Naruto would think all he has to do is draw a little bit of blood out from him, and this is the perfect way. Naruto in this moment would start to, pretty much cause Kimimaro to get caught off guard, as Naruto would quickly use the bringer of darkness dojutsu, why do I keep saying that? Jutsu on him, as Kimimaro would be blinded just long enough for Naruto to go in and do a small little cut which would draw some blood out. Naruto at this point would, get his distance, as Kimimaro would ask why he didn't land a finishing blow then and there, as Naruto would say, "This is why." Licking the blade, as Naruto licking his kunai would just smirk, and Kimimaro would feel the effects instantly. The paralyzation would take over his body, as Naruto would walk slowly towards him, grabbing his scythe and ask, "Any last words?" Kimimaro's mouth can't even move, mind you, as Naruto would say, "Right, you can't move," as he would then go on to slash at the direction of Kimimaro, but one thing would actually shock him. Kimimaru's entire body would actually react weirdly to this, and his body would go into his curse mark state, as bones would shoot out to protect Kimimaro, who can't even move at this point, and he's doing his best to break free of it. At this point, Naruto would be stunned that he was even capable of doing that, and the reason for this would be his bone kicking Genkai. As this happens, and as Naruto realizes that that was going to be a bit annoying, Lee would arrive to the scene, and Naruto turning towards him would say, "Hey, you think you can finish him off? I have him paralyzed already, so it should be easy pickings." But His bones are still protecting him, so don't let your guard down. Lee, hearing this, would say, "Right, Naruto, go capture Sasuke, I'll take care of things here." As Naruto would nod and say, "Gaara, make sure to protect him." As Lee would say, "Gaara?" And Naruto would turn towards the direction of where Gaara's at, and he would nod, with Gaara nodding as well, as Naruto would go off in search of Sasuke. "Sasuke, where do you think you're going? You think going with this creep is gonna get you more power? Are you really that much of an idiot?" Naruto would say, as Sasuke, turning towards Naruto, would say no words to him, as he would simply throw a kick at the direction of Naruto, who would quickly dodge it, noticing that half of Sasuke's face looks different. Naruto would say, "So you embraced the curse mark, huh? Alright." Naruto at this point would use his Jashin abilities, as he would turn towards Sasuke and tell him he'll give him one chance to back out of this. If not, he's gonna have to take him back to the village with broken bones and a bloody nose. As Sasuke would smirk and say, "Try it." It'd be at this point that Sasuke would activate his Sharingan as well, and Naruto, staring into those eyes, would smirk as he would say, "You know, your brother gave me some issues, but you sure as hell won't." As he would rush in towards the direction of Sasuke, and Sasuke, seeing Naruto come at him, would be like, "So fast." He would be able to track Naruto, but Naruto would come in slashing at him with the scythe, as Sasuke would say, "I thought about that already," using two kunais as he would block the attack, and he would say, "All I gotta do is make sure you don't cut me." As he would go rushing in towards Naruto, getting in at close range, so it becomes awkward to fight with the scythe. Naruto, seeing this, would be like, "Smart." As Sasuke would go on to stab Naruto square in his oblique, as Naruto would let out a bit of a curdling like scream, or not scream, but he'd let out like a because it clearly hurt him. Sasuke would go in to land another attack and another one, as Naruto would be sent flying back. Naruto looking at Sasuke and saying, "Impressive, but can you keep up with this?" As Naruto's eyes would become slit-like and his whole appearance would change. Now red chakra would begin oozing off of him, as Sasuke, seeing this, would realize that he can't hold anything back. Naruto's going serious, and if he is, then he will as well. Sasuke at this moment would go on to tap into the full power of his curse mark, going into the second stage, as two wings would appear on Sasuke's body. His hair would grow longer and his eyes would turn black, with red irises in the middle. Two Sharingan would stare back at Naruto, and Naruto would say, "Let's dance." He would rush in towards the direction of Sasuke with a scythe, and he would go on to slash at him, as Sasuke, now having let go of his kunais, would use newly claws to actually dodge against these blows. Naruto, using this, would actually get tired of his scythe, throwing it, as it would get, it would pretty much get stabbed into the mountainside and it would just stay there. Naruto would crack his neck and fingers, as he would say, "You ready?" And he would then go full overdrive. This man starts using all of his speed. Sasuke at this moment would be caught completely off guard, being like, "What? He can move this fast?" Mind you, Naruto can tap into One Tails, but right now he's simply using the aura of the Nine Tails. Sasuke would start getting overwhelmed by this alone, but Sasuke, unwilling to give up, would use his Sharingan to track Naruto and keep up as best as he can. For every blow Naruto would land, Sasuke would dodge one. But that just isn't enough, because Naruto at the end of the day is landing more blows than Sasuke's landing on him, and with Sasuke knowing that Naruto has an ability that can pretty much allow him to tank whatever damage, Sasuke is going to have to land some sort of blow that can easily kill him or render him useless in a battle. Sasuke would begin charging a Chidori, having been sent flying away, and as Sasuke would do this, Naruto would smirk, saying, "Really? You're gonna use that technique? Didn't our last little scuffle show you that my Rasengan is so much stronger than your Chidori?" As Sasuke would say, "We'll see about that, Naruto!" As he would go rushing in towards Naruto, and Naruto rushing back towards Sasuke would not say a word, as he would simply charge up a Rasengan in one hand, and his tail would actually appear behind him. Naruto was no longer playing games. Sasuke's arm was completely destroyed. Every bone in that arm would be just absolutely shattered, and Sasuke would let out a scream as his Chidori was completely overpowered. Naruto would drag Sasuke out of the water as he would use his water walking jutsu, and he would drag him to the surface, where Naruto would practically just start dragging him from his collar, taking him all the way back to the village, as he would say, "I told you, Sasuke, I was gonna take you back to the village one way or the other." And as he would do this, Naruto would end up just being caught up by Kakashi, who would ask him how that went down, with Naruto saying, "Oh, Sasuke went down, but other than that, I can't really say anything else happened." Kakashi at this moment would simply nod, knowing that Naruto isn't exactly the biggest fan of Sasuke. They would take him to the village where Sasuke would actually have a huge meeting done about him, where the village elders would say he should be put in prison for this act of treason. And many people would be thinking that Sasuke should be put under something, because they can't just let this man go free because he's just gonna run away again. Tsunade would fight for Sasuke, but because Naruto's not there, kind of being like, hey, let Sasuke go. And Kakashi would be the only one pretty much actively trying to get Sasuke free. Sasuke would kind of just be put in a real bad situation where for the next couple of months, this dude is literally just in prison and he's just sitting there hating this village more and more as every second would pass. Sasuke eventually would be visited by none other than Danzo Shimura, who would end up telling Sasuke that if he wants to escape this place, then he has to go with him, that he'll train him, he'll teach him how to kill Itachi, that he knows the secrets of the Sharingan. And Sasuke would say, why should I trust you? As Danzo would say, because I'm your only hope, kid. Sasuke at this moment would simply realize that he has no bargaining chips, and so he has to trust Danzo. As this would be happening, Naruto would have already started his 3-year training journey with Jiraiya, and over the course of this time, Naruto's drip would have been updated exactly to the one that we see in the thumbnail. That said, we do have to cover what Naruto is going to be learning during this time skip. This new Naruto is going to be learning a couple of new abilities, with one of them being learning how to use the abilities of Jashin in a cooler way. Now Naruto not only has access to using his own blood, which is something that he has actually learned how to do because of the fact that he doesn't die to normal damage. Naruto has found a way to actually use water jutsu, which is something that he's been working on, and mix it with his blood, because water and blood are pretty much they're not the same. Blood has a lot of water in it. Naruto has pretty much learned a technique to be able to pretty much stab himself and control his own blood via water jutsu, create weapons out of it, and use his own blood flow to essentially enhance his speed. He pushes his blood so much faster than usual, and it's similar to opening a gate, if you could think about it in essence. That being said, Naruto also learned the Jashin circle that Hidan would have used against Asuma, and that's about it in terms of his Jashin powers. That being said, Naruto over the course of this time would have also learned way more close combat fighting. He would have learned how to use his scythe in so many more cool ways. And not to mention, Naruto would have, obviously had the Rasengan, the big Rasengan. And apart from that, Naruto would also learn water style, which is obviously one of the things he's learned, fire style, blood manipulation, which is something he's going to have access to now. And he would also, I want to say he would learn sage mode, but I'm not sure because it's not Toad sage mode, so the whole process is going to be a lot different. So I'm going to put that on pause. No sage mode, right? Jiraiya doesn't have access to take him to Ryuchi cave and just learn that way, so we're going to be saying no for that. But I will say one thing. I definitely think Naruto would have learned how to add a transformation to his Rasengan, since fighting with clones is something that Naruto is very adept at and extremely skilled at. That being said, Naruto would have grown leaps and bounds over this time, but with that being said, Sasuke would have also grown quite a lot during this time. After his humiliating defeat to Naruto, Sasuke would have trained even harder than he would in the original, meaning that he's even faster and even stronger, which is kind of shocking, you would think, because in the original he trained with Orochimaru, who enhanced him with drugs, but this Sasuke, man, this dude was on a mission, even more than the one that we get originally. This dude had so many sleepless nights because he just couldn't go to sleep thinking that Naruto was still stronger than him. That said, over this time, Sasuke would have completed countless missions for the Root Anbu, a secret organization in the village, and Sasuke would have done so many missions, it's not even funny. This dude had gotten stronger at such a rapid pace that it's not even normal. This dude is getting so much stronger because he just hates Naruto. This man wants to just crush him into a million pieces. Not only does he want to kill his older brother Itachi, but Sasuke has made it his personal goal to just absolutely slaughter Naruto under any means necessary. And because his goal is to literally kill an immortal, Sasuke has gotten a lot, and I mean a lot, stronger. That said, Naruto would eventually return to the village, and once he would end up arriving, Naruto would bump into Sakura as the first person he would see. Sakura, seeing Naruto having grown even taller than he was before, now this dude has a cool little neck tattoo, his eyes look sick, his clothes is awesome, his hair is done in such a cool way. Sakura's just oh, sorry, as she, blushes lightly thinking that Naruto looked good, Naruto would say, "Hey Sakura." As Sakura would be caught off guard, she's like, "Naruto?" Mind you, the only reason she didn't know it was Naruto was because he'd be wearing like a cloak on his head to cover himself, just to give him that whole mysterious aura. But once he takes it off, Sakura would see Naruto and be like, "Naruto, you're so tall now." As Naruto would not even be paying attention to Sakura, but he'd be looking right at Sasuke, who would have already known that Naruto was returning to the village today, and he'd be, hiding his presence and using all the stealth that he's learned over the years, but Naruto's just staring straight at him asking, "So Sasuke, you're not going to give your old friend a hello or something?" As Sasuke, realizing that he was already found, would come out of the shadows, and Sakura, seeing Sasuke, would say, "Oh, Sasuke, you're here. Is there any way that you want to maybe, I don't know, just..." And, she's like trying to get Sasuke to hang out or do something with her, but Sasuke just kind of blows her off and would say, "Not today, Sakura, I'm busy." He would stare at Naruto right in his eyes and would ask him how much stronger he's gotten. As Naruto would say, "A little bit." Sasuke at this point would say, "Clearly your detection skills have gotten a lot better." As Naruto would say, "You could say so, and your presence, it was pretty well hidden. You're bloodless though. Can't say the same for that." "What, you're trying to kill an immortal, Sasuke?" As Sasuke would hear that, stand before Naruto, he actually has to look up. Naruto's like smirking at him, and Sasuke would say, "Something like that." At this point, we'd have Jiraiya arrive, as he would pretty much cut the tension in half, and he would say, "All right, Naruto, we have to meet with Lady Tsunade. Actually, all of you have to." He would go on to explain that Team 7 is going to be remade once more, and that they're going to be carrying out missions from now on, saying that they should get along, as he would hug Naruto and Sasuke in, and Sasuke and Naruto would both kind of look at each other with an awkward feeling in the air. These dudes never ended up actually becoming friends in this timeline for obvious reasons, and with that being the case, the team would go on to meet with Tsunade, as she would go on to actually explain that for now, she's trying to see where they're at, so she enlisted help from a friend, a good buddy of theirs. Kakashi at this point would walk through the door, would wave his hand and say what's up to them, as he would look at Sasuke, give him the stare of "I hope you've been doing good," look at Naruto and give him a smile, seeing as he knows Naruto's more of a chill guy, as then we'd pretty much have Kakashi explain that they're redoing the bell test, with Sasuke and Naruto both looking at each other and wondering just how much stronger the other has gotten. Both of them would realize that they want to get these bells and show off, but not show off all their cards, and so when the bell test would start, both Naruto and Sasuke in a flash would blitz towards the direction of Kakashi, as Naruto would make 1,000 shadow clones, which would stun Kakashi, who's like, "Oh no," and Sasuke would go rushing at him so fast that Kakashi had to use his Sharingan to keep up, clashing kunais with him, as another version of Sasuke appears behind him, a shadow clone, and would rip one bell. Simultaneously, a version of Naruto, a clone as well, would actually come in, snatching the bell, and Sasuke would just kind of, Sakura would have just been standing there being like, "But as Tsunade, seeing this and that both of them have clearly gotten so much stronger, would say, "Well, it looks like both of you have gotten a lot more powerful." As they're about to pretty much just have a light-hearted moment when suddenly you would have like what kind of bird would deliver messages for the Sand Village? I'm not sure, but a little crow would come flying in and would deliver a letter to Lady Tsunade, informing her that the Kazekage Gaara had just been kidnapped by the Akatsuki. Then, with her realizing this, she would turn and seeing this team and would say, "What better time than now to see how you guys actually work together as a team?" And so, she would send a lot of them to go recover the Kazekage of the Sand Village. They would arrive at the sand, and just like in the original, Sakura using her medical ninjutsu, which is pretty much the only thing she's good for, which, it's very important, but fighting-wise, she's not all that. That being said, she would use her medical ninjutsu to actually heal Kankuro, and then they would find the Akatsuki base, where they're extracting the one tail from Gaara. As soon as they would arrive, Sakura would punch open a boulder, as Deidara, realizing that a full team of ninja had just arrived to try to take them out in an enclosed area, wanting to, make the battle go in his favor, would create a clay bird as he would fly out of there, but Naruto would not let that slide. Naruto instantly would go on to blitz up into the up at the bird, and he would slash at it, cutting it in half, causing an explosion to go off, as everybody has to cover themselves, and Deidara would be sent flying onto the ground. Deidara, seeing that he was clearly trapped, would go on to explain that if any of them move, he's gonna blow everything here up into smithereens, that everything is gonna be beautiful art. But before he can even finish that sentence, the dude's head would hit the ground, as Sasuke would have used his Curse Mark 2, no, not Curse Mark 2 stage, but literally just his normal speed to just cut this dude's head off. right? This dude had gotten so good at that because of the missions that he had done under Danzo. He had done countless missions, and there would have actually been times where this dude was near death because of them. That said, Sasuke, because he was able to absolutely decimate Deidara, would delete the threat of somebody being like, I'm gonna blow everything up. And with that being the case, the team would now easily be able to handle Deidara. I mean, we're talking Kakashi, Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura against one Akatsuki member that uses puppets. Plus, they have somebody who knows him perfectly and is able to deduce counters for him. So, yeah, safe to say the Sand Kazekage mission, it's a bit of a breeze. This would show Kakashi that the team can work together, but it would also show Kakashi that Naruto and Sasuke, yeah, they don't necessarily like each other. Once they would return to the village, both of them would pretty much just be in a bit of a stage where they each know that if the other acts, they're gonna have to kill each other. And Sasuke's fine with that. Before he can handle that loose end, he has to focus on another one, which is his big brother, Itachi. A couple of days, if not weeks after that, Sasuke would eventually get a letter from Itachi telling him to meet him at their old Uchiha hideout. So Sasuke would make his way there, and they would have their battle just like they do in the original. One cool thing that I would like to add is that Sasuke's strength being so much different than the original actually benefits him in such a great way, because now the battle against Itachi goes so much smoother, and Sasuke is able to use his Curse Mark 2 stage power a lot better. Also, Sasuke's learned about the I was gonna say Korematsu Kame, but that's not the word I'm looking for. He's learned about Izanagi, or is it, I don't know, the ability that pretty much lets him come back from the dead by using Sharingan, and that's something that Sasuke has under his arm, or no, not his arm, let's say under his arm, because he's always wearing like cloak that cover him. He has 3 extra Sharingan that have been embedded into his arm by Danzo, which he's able to use to escape death at any moment. Itachi noticing this, because, or no, he can't see through clothes. Yeah, that makes no sense. He could see chakra flow, but seeing chakra flow come through his arm, Itachi would question Sasuke on whether he has Sharingan on his arm, and this would like disappoint Itachi, but he understands. And Sasuke would say, I do. I have an immortal friend and I just want to be able to even out the stakes. At this point, Itachi would think to Hidan and think that he also has ones, and the battle would go on. Their fight would be fierce, but ultimately, Sasuke would come out on top, having more chakra reserves than he does in the original, and being able to actually find a counter to Itachi's, not Amaterasu, but Susanoo. This ultimately leads to Itachi smiling and telling Sasuke he's proud of him. Sasuke would stand over Itachi and say, "Proud? You're proud of me? After making my entire life's purpose trying to kill you, you're gonna tell me you're proud of me in your final moments? Go to hell, Itachi," he would say, as he would cut Itachi and kill him. It'd be at this point that we would flash back to the village, and Naruto would finally be informed of 2 more Akatsuki members that had unfortunately killed the leader of Team Asuma, right? Alright, whatever the formation of his team name is. That said, Naruto would be in charge of going with them as he would go on to take out Hidan. Or no, not take him out. I feel like even if Naruto was to face off against Hidan, it'd be a cool fight. Naruto would be like, so you also have these, actually nah, like we have to do that. Let's say that once they arrive at the battlefield, Shikamaru has this plan to avenge his sensei, as Naruto would ask Hidan or ask Shikamaru if there's any way he can do it, saying that his powers are the same ones as him, and he wants to know how he gained his abilities. That said, Naruto through this would actually use Shikamaru's shadow to actually rush into the forest where Naruto and Hidan can talk. Naruto would ask Hidan how he gained access to Jashin, and Hidan would smile, saying he sacrificed people, of course. Naruto at this point would say, so it was that, as he would realize that that day, Naruto didn't just kill those people, he sacrificed them, and every single time that he's killed someone since then, that's exactly what Jashin has been doing, feeding himself souls. That said, Naruto would say that's all I needed to know, as Hidan at this moment would say, what, you want to have a battle? As Naruto would say, not quite, more like an annihilation. He would go on to cut both of Hidan's arms off, as Naruto would simply walk off saying he's too weak, and Shikamaru would have a bunch of wires trap Hidan as they would go on to explode, and Shikamaru would say, rest in peace, you bastard, as he would pretty much walk off and smoke a cigarette, and Naruto would smile saying, now that that's done, I guess one of the last loose ends at the village is Sasuke. as Naruto would make his way back to the village, as, you know, Kakashi and the rest of the team would have been able to hold Kakuzu off, but ultimately Naruto would land the kill blow using the Rasen Shuriken. Once he would return to the village, Naruto would not see Sasuke and he would think, guess I have a bit of time to kill. And so Naruto would actually focus his next couple of efforts on simply training and getting stronger. In the original, at around this time, he would have been learning how to use the Rasen Shuriken and stuff like that. Well, that was before the battle, but technically after that he would have learned how to use Sage Mode. But because in this version of events, Jiraiya can't exactly just send him a letter and tell him, hey, learn Sage Mode this way. Naruto realizing that, you know, Jiraiya would have died during this time, that would actually hit him. Naruto looks at death in a bit of a different way in this timeline because of, you know, everything that's been happening, but he still is just, he's sad. Like he wants to act like he's not, like he's hard and cold, but dude, like that sucks. Like that was like one of his only friends, literally. And Naruto now, he has nobody. He's alone. So now Naruto having nothing else to do, Naruto remembers one thing Jiraiya had told him, Sage Mode. And so, summoning Icarus, Naruto would ask him about that, as Icarus would say that to learn this, he has to go to Ryuchi Cave and be taught the secrets of Sage Mode, saying that this is training that many don't even survive, and most people die trying. As Naruto would say, well, it looks like I'm lucky, because I won't be dying. As he would make his way to Ryuchi Cave, and over the course of this time period, Naruto would learn Snake Sage Mode. We left off last time with Naruto learning Sage Mode after the death of Jiraiya and Itachi's death to the hands of Sasuke, with Itachi pretty much telling him that he was proud of him, and Sasuke not exactly being a fan of that, considering that his brother did kind of massacre his entire clan, but hey, what do I know? I'm just a guy who has his whole family intact. Anyways, point being, after Sasuke would finally defeat Itachi, I can see two things happening. One, either Obito would arrive and try to capture him, or two, Obito wouldn't arrive. I mean, there's literally only two possibilities. But for the sake of this story, I decided to go with Obito actually arriving. Now, this would mean that we would get a scene similar to this. Finally, he's dead. Now I don't have to worry about him. Now that I've crossed him off the list, I can finally focus on Naruto. It's gonna feel really good when I kill that immortal bastard. Still kinda gotta work out the details, but he'll be dead soon. I'm coming for you, Naruto, Sasuke would think, as Sasuke would stare at the body of his bloodied and dead beat brother Itachi. It'd be at this point that Sasuke would look up, seeing a swirly like portal appear in front of him, and Obito would step out. At this point, Sasuke seeing this wouldn't exactly know how to react, considering the fact that he was drained from his previous fight with his brother. And so, the second that Obito would arrive, Sasuke would be heavily on guard, with Obito pretty much telling him that he can drop the act, that he knows he's drained of chakra, and if he wanted to kill him, he would have already done so. It'd be at this point that Sasuke would ask who he is, with Obito pretty much saying that he knows exactly who he is, staring at Sasuke with his mask and his Sharingan. Sasuke seeing this would wonder who this is, with him thinking that it couldn't be who he's thinking. To this point, Obito would say that his name is Madara Uchiha. After this would happen, Sasuke would ask him how it's possible that he could even be alive, as Obito would say that that's for him to know. But then Obito would say that he does have something he could tell Sasuke, telling him the truth about Itachi and why he killed the clan. Sasuke hearing this would be extremely intrigued, as Obito would say, and I don't only have that, I'm here to offer a partnership, telling Sasuke that their goals align very similarly, saying that he also wants to kill, or more specifically, capture Naruto, the Jinchuriki of the Nine Tails. Sasuke hearing this would wonder what exactly everyone wants with Naruto, and Obito says that all he wants is the tailed beast inside of him. After that, he's free to do whatever he pleases with Naruto. As Sasuke hearing this, being intrigued by the prospect of killing Naruto and learning more about his brother, would easily accept going with Obito, as he would then end up joining the Akatsuki a lot differently than he would have in the original, but he would still join nonetheless. Meanwhile, as this is all happening, Naruto would pretty much be on the other side of the world training Sage Mode, and when Naruto would finally be done, Naruto would find himself in a destroyed village with rubble all over and dead people everywhere. As Naruto would see this, he would look up into the sky as he would see a man with orange hair with a weird black and red cloak. Naruto, noticing this, would realize that it was the Akatsuki, and Naruto would get pissed. Before then, suddenly a Chidori would come crashing towards his direction as it would land on Naruto, sending him crashing into a building, and Naruto would look up to see none other than Sasuke Uchiha. Now let me explain why it is that Sasuke would be here. Sasuke's whole goal is to literally kill Naruto. So when Sasuke would find out the fact that Nagato, or more specifically Pain, would be going after the village to hunt Naruto down, Sasuke's not exactly going to be okay with that, and he's going to want to tag along. So it's not just going to be Pain who's here, but Sasuke, who would pretty much be tasked with bringing Naruto to the Akatsuki themselves, and Pain would have simply been there to deliver a message or get his get back on the village that cost him so much. That being said, Naruto seeing Sasuke here would be absolutely stunned, as Sasuke would pretty much see Naruto get up from the rubble, as he would ask him why he looks so surprised, saying that he should have done this sooner, as Naruto at this point would just stare at Sasuke and crack his neck, telling him that he's honestly not surprised. He's just shocked at how soon Sasuke ended up jumping to such measures, saying that he always was weak and needed to rely on others, bringing up Orochimaru as he would go on to tell Sasuke that he's always been weak and he's never been able to do things on his own. At this point, Sasuke would get triggered and he would rush in towards the direction of Naruto, Sharingan in their Mangekyo Sharingan state, not the EMS, because he still hasn't changed the eyes with his older brother, because he still hasn't even caused the Mangekyo Sharingan to go like dull. But speaking of Mangekyo, this is something that he's actually had ever since Naruto came to the village and a bit before then, having gone into crazy life-threatening situations for missions for Danzo. That said, we would pretty much end up getting a battle between Sasuke and Naruto, and it would be purely taijutsu based. Sasuke using his Mangekyo Sharingan in tandem with his curse mark abilities that he would have gotten from Orochimaru would be holding Naruto off like it's nobody's business, with Sasuke actually thinking that they're about equal, because Naruto would currently be in his Jashin state, with Sasuke knowing that that's Naruto's strongest form. Leaping back, Sasuke would question Naruto why he's holding back on him, as Naruto would say he was just testing the waters before activating the amount of chakra that he could access from Kurama and tapping into the power of the four tails. From this point, four tails would appear behind Naruto, obviously, I don't know why I had to say that, and Naruto's eyes would shift as Sasuke would see the form that had defeated him previously in the Valley of the End, where he had last fought Naruto. At this point, Sasuke would end up activating the ability of the Susanoo, as he would go to attack Naruto, trying to crush him with his skeleton fist, but he would actually end up missing, and Naruto, leaping up into the air using his scythe, would actually go slashing it down on Sasuke, as Sasuke would dodge out of the way, and Naruto and Sasuke would be in a bit of a standstill. From here though, Naruto would start to get serious, noticing that Sasuke really has gotten stronger, and a lot, if he does have to say so himself. Sasuke would rush in, clashing with Naruto with a Rasengan and Onyx Chidori. At this point, both of them would clash and Sasuke would be sent flying back, as Naruto would rush in about to land a blow on Sasuke, but it would be at this point that Pain would use the almighty push on Naruto, sending him flying back, as Sasuke would bark at Pain, telling him, "Why the hell did you get involved in my fight?" as he would tell him that he's doing this on his own and to not interfere again. As Sasuke would watch Naruto stand back up, as Sasuke would shoot a lightning style jutsu up into the clouds. This would go on to create a bunch of like rainy clouds, as the whole atmosphere would change. Now it's a village with rubble and it'd be raining, and like you would just see like thunder up in the air, like it's just crackling in the sky, and Sasuke would be looking at Naruto, looking down on him, pretty much confident in his victory. having not only the fact that right now he feels like he's on top of Naruto, but the fact that even if Naruto could manage to do something, he has the ability of Izanagi. That said, Naruto would weave hand signs behind his back as he would say, "Bringer of Darkness Jutsu," to which at this point Sasuke's eyes would go completely dark, as Sasuke would remember how this had happened to him in the previous fight. And Sasuke would feel pissed, feeling a snake beginning to crawl up on him, as Sasuke would never have been privy to the fact that Naruto had a summon with him the whole time. Icarus would be there, and he would crawl on Sasuke, restraining him perfectly, leaving no openings for Sasuke to escape, as he would coil around him like an anaconda, as Naruto, rushing towards the direction of Sasuke with his scythe, would rush in and be about to kill him, when suddenly Pain would get involved in the fight and would block the attack for Sasuke, who couldn't move, as one of the paths of Pain would end up freeing Sasuke by attacking Icarus, causing Sasuke to have just enough time to break out of Icarus's grasp, as he would snap out of the Bringer of Darkness Jutsu almost immediately, as Sasuke would look up towards the direction of Pain, enraged at the fact that he just got involved in his battle after he literally specifically told him not to do this, saying that he had him right where he wanted him. Naruto, hearing this, would be absolutely confused at what Sasuke is even talking about, not being aware of the fact that Sasuke has 3 more Sharingan embedded in his arm, thanks to, Danzo, who's given him that, when they used to work together. But regardless, that put to the side, Pain would look at the direction of Sasuke and tell him that that's foolish, as Naruto would be facing off against 5 paths of Pain, as Naruto would handle them, thinking that they're a huge pain in the butt, but ultimately he has to. I could see Naruto ultimately destroying the path of Pain that's able to shoot a bunch of rockets and stuff like that, and all the rest of them are just doing their best to pretty much make things impossible for Naruto. Naruto, while he's facing them, is doing his best to pretty much buy time for himself. As Sasuke and Pain would be arguing, Pain would tell him it's foolish, as Sasuke would end up pretty much telling him not to get involved again. And from here, Naruto would now have the paths of Pain and Sasuke attacking him at the same time. Naruto at this point would proceed to essentially use the Gaslight no Jutsu, which is really funny, but pretty much he would start gaslighting Sasuke, trying to get him to betray Pain, saying that he doesn't respect him, and he didn't know that even still he had to rely on others, saying that his point really does stand and Sasuke hasn't changed. To this point, Sasuke would get enraged and he would turn on one of the paths of Pain, specifically the one that could summon animals, as Sasuke with an Onyx Chidori would proceed to destroy it, as it would be caught off guard by Sasuke's ultimate betrayal. At this point, the battle would change and it would become a 1v1v4, as it would now be the paths of Pain versus Sasuke and Naruto. At this point, Naruto and Sasuke would proceed to take them out first, wanting to clear the deck a little bit, as both of them would pretty much be willing to take the first opportunity they can to backstab each other and try to land an attack on each other and pretty much fight the paths of Pain. They would destroy one each individually, and after they would pretend to go and attack one, but they'd then shoot an attack at each other, and the battle would be very complicated because even though they're taking out paths of Pain, they would take breaks to just straight up fight each other, and then the paths of Pain come flying in. You got the Diva path shooting Shinra Tenseis, you got this dude pretty much pushing and pulling them, you got Sasuke's Chidoris, this dude's creating a couple of shadow clones, we got Naruto creating an army of them to face off against Pain and stuff like that. It's just a crazy looking battle, but ultimately they would end up destroying every single path of Pain, with the Diva path being included in this, thanks to Naruto taking things seriously and ultimately shattering it, as Sasuke would be stunned at his power, realizing that he needs to use his trump card now. It'd be at this point that Sasuke would say that he developed a jutsu that's going to be capable of stunning him long enough for Sasuke to deliver a blow to eradicate him. With nothing left, his immortality won't save him, as at this point Sasuke would get some space, creating clones to hold Naruto off, as Naruto would look up into the air and almost instantaneously, a lightning dragon would come down on Naruto as it would hit him point blank. As this happens, Sasuke would rush in towards the direction of Naruto, trying to land a killing blow on him, which would essentially be an Amaterasu blast point blank. But Naruto would have actually been completely immune to the effects of Kirin, as Naruto would counter Sasuke, telling him that he didn't want to do this, as he would bend Sasuke, grabbing his arm before breaking it instantly and pretty much telling Icarus to leech onto Sasuke. Icarus would restrain Sasuke by the legs, as Naruto with his scythe in one swell swoop would just cut Sasuke's head off as it would hit the ground. Naruto at this point would feel bad that he had to do that, but it would be at this point that Sasuke would come rushing back in as he would try using his Amaterasu to shock Naruto, but it'd be at this point that Icarus would leap in the way, tanking the Amaterasu blast full on, meaning that Icarus literally just dies. Like, this beast of a character that I introduced ends up sacrificing himself for Naruto, as Naruto seeing this happen would get royally pissed. This man just sighs and he realizes that Sasuke has some sort of immortality too, as Naruto would turn to Sasuke simply asking how many extra lives he has. Sasuke at this point would lie to Naruto, as Naruto would smile and say, "Good, because that just means I get to kill you over and over for what you just did to Icarus." Blitzing towards the direction of Sasuke, having activated Sage Mode, which mind you, he hadn't done that entire time, would proceed to absolutely massacre Sasuke over and over and over again. Think back to what Sasuke did to Danzo when Danzo stood absolutely no chance. That's exactly what would happen, and with his last life supposedly, Naruto would hold his blade to Sasuke's neck, telling him that if he moves a muscle, he's dead. Seeing this battle go on, Sakura from the distance would run in, pretty much like being like, "No, Naruto, you can't kill him." You know, like, remember what happened when they fought on the rooftop in part 1 of Shippuden, or sorry, not Shippuden, but Shonen Jump. Wait, no, it's not called Shonen Jump, just part 1 Naruto. Anyways, that being the case, Sakura would actually end up distracting Naruto for literally just a split second, but that would give Sasuke just enough time to reverse summon himself out of there. And we know Sasuke could do that because he did that in the midst of a massive explosion that Deidara would have used when he fought against him. And so you would pretty much just see Naruto turning to see that Sasuke had disappeared and staring daggers at Sakura, as Naruto would proceed to go off on her, pretty much telling her that she's a waste of a shinobi and that she's a piece of garbage and she shouldn't have even been on the battlefield if all she was gonna be is a massive crutch. At this point, Sakura would look down, being saddened at what Naruto was telling her, as she would realize that he's right, but a part of her would be glad that she did it because Sasuke's still alive, right? He's gonna come back. After all, Sakura had thought that they were getting somewhere. I mean, this whole time, it's not like Sasuke was gone and she hadn't had him in her life. This time he was there. Even if they didn't talk, at least he was there. But what Naruto was gonna do was get rid of him. And so, Naruto, after this would happen, would pretty much end up telling Sakura to get lost, as she would like pretty much end up walking off, and you would just see Naruto picking up one of the rods of pain as he would trace it back to where Nagato would be at. And from here, we pretty much just get a scene of Naruto speed blitzing towards the direction of Nagato's location. Once he would end up arriving there, Naruto would not be playing any games, smashing a hole through the hideout, as Naruto would be face to face with Nagato, telling Nagato that his organization has a lot of nerve. First, they took his sensei. Then, they killed his friends, and to top it all off, they destroyed his village. Naruto at this point would stare at Nagato with bloodlust in his eyes, as he would go on to say some really cool, probably generic one-liner about how death has come for him or something like that, and then would pretty much proceed to speed blitz towards him. I could see Konan trying to get in the way, But Naruto's not having any of it. He would rip her to shreds by slicing her multiple times with the scythe, as he would now stand face to face with Nagato, who wasn't even putting up any resistance, pretty much just monologuing for his last couple of seconds, telling Naruto that the world is unfair and that he was simply getting his revenge. But Naruto, hearing this, would simply say, "Tell that to someone who cares," as he would cut Nagato's head clean off of his body before then using a fire style jutsu to completely decimate Nagato's head with his Rinnegan, as he would say, "That was for Kakashi." And from here, Naruto would leave that hideout, as this is going to be having massive repercussions to the story of Naruto. Because not only does this mean that nobody gets revived in this timeline of events, but this also means that Obito's not going to be having access to the Rinnegan, and there's literally no other way to get the Rinnegan. So when Obito finds out about this, he is going to be livid. That said though, Naruto would have returned to the village, and I want to just quickly add this random scene that I thought of. Naruto, while he's there looking at all the dead bodies, would end up going into a trance, similar to when he ends up seeing the nine-tailed fox. But Naruto, this time for the first time ever, could almost feel that he was physically somewhere, some place that didn't feel like his realm, a place that felt different but the same, all at the same time. Naruto couldn't put a finger on it. It's almost as if reality itself is where Naruto had transcended. But Naruto would see this gigantic being that looks terrifying. Jashin himself would stand in front of him, as he would have a terrifying smile, essentially telling Naruto that he's pleased with his sacrifices. Think solo leveling in that gigantic statue that smiles like a creep. That said, Naruto staring back at it would pretty much end up telling Jashin to go to hell, as he would tell him that he's nobody's pawn, and that none of these corpses are a sacrifice to him. As Jashin's smile would slightly turn into a frown, and Naruto would fade back into consciousness. Picking things off where we left off, Naruto would have ended up having his encounter with Nagato, leading him to killing him and leaving no trace behind. And also having his own little encounter with Jashin, but hey, that's neither here nor there. Point is, we're going to be switching perspectives to Obito's point of view once he ends up discovering that, yeah, his plan, it's done for. Because mind you, in order for his plan to even work and to summon the Ten Tails, he needs to summon the Ghetto Maza statue or whatever the heck it's called. And to do that, I'm pretty sure you need the Rinnegan. The reason I say that is because I looked it up on Google and that's what Google said. So yeah, I'm going to just roll with that. So he can't even do his plan. There's no other Rinnegan. There's no other way to get the Rinnegan. I mean, the other only one he could have potentially gotten would be if Sasuke got the powers given to him by Hagoromo. But judging in the direction of the story and how Sasuke's been handling himself, there's just no way that I can see Sasuke doing that in this specific timeline. So that's just not gonna happen. And after Obito finds out about this and the fact that everything that he's worked for years, like literal years, has been ruined by Naruto, proceeds to just start plotting on killing this man immediately. So Obito, being who he is, and considering the fact that we've seen Obito literally teleport into Naruto's room before in the series, like that's canon, I have no reason to believe that Obito wouldn't straight up pull up on Naruto and kill him. Oh, and quick timeout for a second. I have been trying to re-record that line for like a minute straight. So mind you, I'm done pausing the video and trying to refix it and fix it and fix it and fix it over and over. I'm tired of it, okay? You guys didn't even realize that that's been happening, but yeah, I've been over here trying to like get everything perfect, but I'm doing the most, okay? It's the finale, okay? It's not that big deal. Anyways, point is, as soon as Obito finds this out, this man wants it on sight. This is the equivalent of you playing someone in Clash Royale and they hit you with the yawn emoji or the little prince crying emoji or the laughing emoji. Like, they disrespected you. And now it is your duty to get back in blood. And that's exactly what Obito would do. So while Naruto, who has literally just finished, taking this battle on And it's been a couple of days and he's returned to the village to see that it's destroyed, and the aftermath is literally like 100 times worse than the one that we get in the original, because no one gets revived. Everyone who dies literally stays dead. That means that Kakashi, yeah, he's gone. He's never coming back. There's no way we're bringing him back, which is very unfortunate for Kakashi. But at the end of the day, a part of me actually think that that's better, just because of the fact that, I mean, let's keep it a buck. Kakashi should have died there. He had no business awakening the Mangekyo Sharingan and all this crazy stuff, and having the eternal EMS, the dual Mangekyo Sharingan. That's the word I was looking for, the DMS. He had absolutely no business attaining those powers at the end of the series, but that's just my opinion, right? I'm just the Naruto guy, right? Who cares? But anyways, point being, Obito would pull up on Naruto, and Naruto, who's inside of his room, he's like literally relaxing after a long day of forming clones and helping recover the village and stuff like that. You would pretty much just see Obito appear in the room and clapping for Naruto, telling him congratulations on defeating Nagato, as Naruto would just look up at Obito and just be acting super nonchalantly. It'd be at this point that Obito would walk around the room and say, for the past couple of years, I've been doing nothing but working on this plan, capturing tailed beasts, backstabbing people, giving up my dreams so that everybody else could live theirs. And you've ruined everything. You single-handedly destroyed everything that I've been building up to this point. And now, well, now you're gonna pay. As it'd be at this point that Naruto would get ready, knowing that Obito's coming after him. At this point, Obito would blitz towards the direction of Naruto, as Naruto would spin out of the way, and Obito would phase through a swishing attack that Naruto would throw with the scythe. At this point, Obito would end up showing off that he literally can't be touched, and this would stun Naruto, who at this point would be hit by a point-blank attack by Obito, who would send him crashing into the wall, as Naruto would end up crashing into his bathroom sink and looking up only to see Obito coming flying right at him, as Naruto, realizing that he has to take this seriously, would instantly activate his Jashin abilities, as Obito would skewer Naruto in his stomach, leaving a gaping hole in him, as Naruto would cough out so much blood that you'd be stunned that the dude's not dead. He nearly got cut in half by Obito's attack. But Naruto, looking up at Obito, would smile, as Obito, underneath his mask, would grin, simply saying, "I forgot you were immortal." As it'd be at this point that Obito would pretty much end up telling him, lucky for him, he has an immortal on his side as well. Or well, he had one, so he knows how to deal with them, he would think. As at this point, Naruto would feel his body beginning to be warped and a weird sensation would come over him. And the next thing Naruto knows, he would be in the Kamui dimension, looking around to see a void of pretty much nothingness. There was nothing here. Naruto to this point would decide that he simply has to go back, and he would try to reverse summon himself, but he would be quickly apparent that does not work. For some reason, Naruto doesn't have access to that dimension. He's not sure why it is. Is he in a different world? Is he in a different planet? Is he in a different time space continuum? He doesn't know why, but it just does not work, mind you. And the reason that I'm saying this is because when Obito faced off against Minato for the first fight, Obito was pretty sure that if he could simply catch Obito or touch Minato, the battle would be over. And that means that he was confident of the fact that Kamui would have been enough to pretty much defeat Minato, so he couldn't get out of there. And then the second thing is, if Sasuke or you could theoretically escape from the Kamui dimension, then Sasuke would have done so when he ended up being teleported into the Kamui dimension, but he didn't. So that sort of gives us a huge thing on telling us Naruto is literally stuck here. And if you guys don't remember, let me refresh your memory. The only way to kill an immortal who has the abilities of Jashin in this timeline is to literally remove their head and not let them eat. And so instead of just removing Naruto's head and just kind of locking him up in a box or something like that, which probably could actually work, just lock him up buggy style, that actually might be a very solid counter, but very hard to execute, might I add. Anyways, Obito literally just decided to send Naruto to a place where he would just die. In 2 weeks, Naruto, let's assume Naruto's extra strong, so let's say 30 days. Yeah, 30 days, Naruto would literally be trapped in the Kamui dimension, and Naruto would do everything he possibly can to break out. I mean, the dude even tries launching his biggest attack at the ground, maybe seeing if this is an illusion, trying to snap out of it, but he eventually realizes it's not. And as the hours and days go by, Naruto was literally just sitting here with nothing but his thoughts. Eventually, Naruto realizes that all he has to wait for is death, and that very somber thought would haunt him as days would pass and eventually weeks would pass. 2 weeks would go by, and at this point, Naruto already started looking like he hadn't eaten in days. To this point, Naruto would suddenly start hearing the voice of Kurama, as over the course of this time period, it's not like Naruto was truly alone, because at the end of the day, he had a tailed beast sealed inside of him, and Kurama, understanding that he's also gonna die with Naruto, this would end up leading to a conversation between Kurama and Naruto. Now, what happens during this conversation exactly? I'm gonna leave that in the air for you guys, but think of it as something along the lines of Kurama and Naruto sort of having a bit of a heart-to-heart. Like, just imagine what would happen if you and someone you didn't like pretty much only had each other to talk to, and you eventually just kind of had to have a heart-to-heart. That's essentially what ends up taking place here, and fortunately for Naruto, this ends up meaning that Kurama and Naruto end up sort of being on chill terms, understanding that they're gonna die soon. Kurama knows he'll come back, but Naruto, yeah, he's not coming back. And Obito is only getting happier and happier by the day, which leads me to my next point. What's going to be happening next? Now, here's what I can see happening, and this is the most realistic path moving forward. Obito would have no choice but to wait for another Rinnegan to be awakened naturally. So that means Sasuke. So this would pretty much end up leading Obito to wondering how in the world a Rinnegan could be obtained. And him knowing about, Pain and Nagato and stuff like that, and Madara as well, he would definitely understand that there is only like a couple of ways to obtain the Rinnegan, which are, I don't know. Watch the Swag Kage, how the Rinnegan works, or something like that video, okay? I have no idea how it actually works, but the point is, I know that it's very, very, very hard to awaken the Rinnegan, and that's something that Madara was barely able to do once he was on his deathbed, so Obito's pretty much going to be having to wait a very long time for this Rinnegan to be awakened. But luckily for Obito, he's not going to be having to wait that long, because he's going to literally die. And you'd be thinking like, Xehther, how in the world is he going to bust out of here? Now, let me be clear. If this was a normal what if video, he would die, right? If he didn't have main character plot armor. But because of the fact that he does, I'm going to be throwing Naruto a bone and saying that Naruto would essentially end up having a conversation with Jashin. Now, Naruto at this point would already be getting frail. The dude looks like he hasn't eaten in weeks. Like, you could just see it everywhere from his eyes to his face. His eyes, because he hasn't been sleeping, because he literally can't sleep. He's that hungry. And it's like, yes, he's immortal, but he needs sustenance, right? That being said, Naruto would end up being reverse summoned directly to the death god Jashin himself, for the purposes of this story, as Naruto would be face to face with him, telling Jashin that that was a horrible idea. Now, this would be a cool scene if Naruto looked, like healthy, but he doesn't. The dude looks frail, he looks skinny, he just looks weak, and even Naruto knows that at this point of the story, he is weak. Naruto would ask him why he's helping him, and Jashin would tell him that he's not done using him as his pawn. He needs to fetch more sacrifices for him. Naruto, hearing this from Jashin, would pretty much end up saying that now he knows how to get to him, and that he's going to be sorry he ever saved him, because once he's done killing Obito, he's going to come for him. Hearing this, Jashin would simply let out a devilish grin, as he would tell Naruto that he will never become strong enough, appearing behind Naruto, sending literal chills down his spine, as he would end up touching Naruto, and this little spot that he would end up like placing just one finger would decay. It would like wither away, leaving a permanent like chunk of Naruto's body that is straight up missing. Like, it's a small one, but it's something that Naruto's never gonna get back. This is the literal death god we're talking about. And like, he's strong enough to pretty much do that to Naruto with nothing but a touch. And Naruto couldn't even register what was going on. At this point, Naruto would then be summoned to the real world as he would end up reverse summoning himself out of there. And after this would happen, Naruto would understand that he needs to get stronger if he wants to take out whoever that ninja was. And the reason I say that is because even though Kurama thinks that that's Madara, he's not so sure, considering the fact that he's been captured by the real Kurama, and that person did not seem like Kurama. Even his Mangekyo abilities didn't seem normal. At this point, Naruto would say, "Fox, you there?" As Kurama would say, "I'm always here, Naruto," like in a very annoyed and like grumpy tone. As Naruto would say, "I need your power." From here, Kurama would start like shooting his chakra into Naruto's body, and it's not like this is gonna heal hunger. It's not exactly gonna do that to him, but it would give Naruto that extra oomph that he needs to pretty much make his way towards a nearby village where he can get some decent grub. After Naruto would do this, he would make his way back to the Hidden Leaf village, where upon his arrival, Naruto would be wearing a cloak. As Naruto begins walking closer and closer to the village, his hands in his pockets looking absolutely majestic, might I add, the Leaf Village guards were on extreme high alert thanks to what happened with Obito and the death of Naruto, quote unquote, as well as what happened with Pain and the attack and the death of all the villagers. They are on extremely high alert. So the ninjas are hostile. They would roll up on Naruto and pretty much ask him what business he has here and if he has any clearance to come to the village. From here, Naruto would end up taking off his hood as both guards would see that it's Naruto. Both of them realizing this would say, "How are you alive?" And Naruto would say that for now, that's none of their business. He needs to speak with Lady Tsunade. At this point, one of them would quickly escort Naruto over there, as Naruto, walking inside of Tsunade's office, would simply look at her, and Tsunade would quickly stand up saying, "Naruto, you're..." As she would hug Naruto, and she would feel how frail he is, right? To this point, Naruto would push her away, telling her that how he survived doesn't matter. All that does matter is that he needs to get his get back on whoever it was that attacked him. From here, Tsunade would ask what he looked like, and Naruto would say that he thinks it's Madara. Silence would fill the room as Tsunade would say that that's impossible. After speculating a little bit, and Naruto talking to her and telling her exactly what happened, how he was starving and all that stuff, Tsunade would end up essentially handing Naruto a bunch of weird looking pills. Now, these pills taste horrible. They're similar to the ones that Sakura gave Naruto, but what they essentially do is fill you up. Think of them kind of like not senzu beans, but they're like pills that keep you full and then make your body think that it's like super full. So Naruto would take a bunch of these and he would feel extremely bloated. From here, he would turn to Tsunade and say that he needs to get stronger. Not only for Obito to make sure that he absolutely stomps him, but to also make sure that he'll be ready to face Jashin one day. At this point, I could see Tsunade easily asking Naruto how exactly he plans to get so strong in such a limited amount of time. And Naruto would tell her that he's looking for Might Guy. Tsunade would say, "You don't mean you," as Naruto, looking at her, would say that it's the only way, also saying that it's perfect for him, considering that he shouldn't take damage theoretically. Tsunade at this point would nod, understanding what Naruto's thinking, and in case you guys don't understand, I'm pretty much just alluding to the fact that Naruto is gonna train to get the 8 inner gates. Now, after this would happen, Tsunade would summon Might Guy to her tower, as Might Guy would end up arriving, and Naruto would waste absolutely no time. He's not there to play around or anything. He just tells Might Guy straight up that he needs him to teach him the 8 inner gates so he could get revenge on the leader of the Akatsuki, the true leader of the Akatsuki. Guy, after this, hearing that he's gonna pretty much be facing off the guy who's responsible for the death of his best friend because he's the leader of the Akatsuki, would end up telling Naruto that he'll help him on one condition, to which Naruto would ask, and that is, as Might Guy would say, "I want to fight along." Let me try to say it in the Might Guy voice. "I want to fight alongside you, Naruto." What the heck was that? Okay, that was cursed. That was cursed. That was beyond cursed. I'm gonna leave it in. Just so you guys can roast me in the comments. You guys probably will anyways. Yeah. That one Weeb does a better impression of Might Guy than I do. That was just terrible. I think I can do Guy Sensei. Yeah, I can't even do that one. Yeah, so let's just ignore that entire little section. Point is, after this would happen, Might Guy would end up asking Naruto where they're gonna train, and Naruto would simply end up summoning a scroll As biting into his thumb, Naruto would say, "Reverse summoning jutsu," as at this point Naruto and Might Guy would both be reverse summoned to Ryuchi Cave, where Naruto would explain to Might Guy that here, he's gonna be mastering the 8 inner gates. From here, Naruto would train for 3 days non-stop, as Naruto would not only learn, but master the technique faster than anyone has ever done it, thanks to not only the fact that he's a prodigy, but because he has access to the multi-shadow clone jutsu. At this point, Might Guy and Naruto, using Naruto's skills of, spy and networking that he would have learned from Jiraiya during his 3-year time skip, would end up searching for Obito alongside Might Guy. So this means that Naruto would end up gaining a pretty big relationship with Might Guy, considering that both of them want the same thing, and they both pretty much go on to talk about Kakashi and the stories that they have with him and moments that they're always going to remember and treasure with him, and how much they want the revenge against the Akatsuki. It'd be at this point that they would finally end up finding Obito, but not only Obito, but Sasuke as well, as they would arrive after weeks of searching. And at this point, Naruto would come into the base where Obito's pretty much at on some Black Panther type timing. Like, you guys remember that scene where T'Challa was like, "As you can see, I am not dead." Like, he would pretty much do that to Obito, and Obito would be stunned because this dude is practically convinced that Naruto had already died. I mean, after all, it's literally been months, and the last time that Obito saw Naruto, he looked like he was gonna croak at any second. Because yes, Obito would definitely also rub it in Naruto's face that he's stuck in the Kamui dimension, and Obito would literally pull up there just to taunt Naruto and just phase out of there like it's no big deal. Like, if you guys don't think that Naruto wants to slaughter Obito with every fiber of his being, then you're dead wrong. At this point, Sasuke would be completely unsurprised that Naruto's still alive, as Sasuke with a cocky smile would unsheath his blade, as he would say he's been training, and he's gonna show him the fruits of that, as he would blitz towards the direction of Naruto, who would simply sidestep Sasuke's attack, saying, "Sasuke, the grown-ups are talking." Sasuke would realize how unbelievably fast Naruto is, because at this point, Naruto already has his Snake Sage mode activated, alongside his Jashin mode, which is absolutely busted, which proceeds to piss Sasuke off to an infinitesimal degree, but there's no more games now, right? Absolutely none. Might Guy at this point would activate his 8th inner gate, as he would rush towards the direction of Obito and blitz at him, who would be absolutely stunned because, mind you, in the original, Might Guy went toe-to-toe with Ten Tails Madara, so this would still be more than enough to face off against somebody like Obito. But Obito would be able to dodge most of his attacks, considering the fact that he could phase through people. So while Obito's pretty much busy facing off against Might Guy, Naruto would end up activating every single thing at his disposal: Jashin mode, Sage mode, KCM1, and the 8th inner gate. Naruto would instantly tap into the 8th inner gate by tapping on his heart, and instantly all the blood flow and all of his life force would begin pouring out, as everything would begin going into overdrive, and Naruto's heart would begin palpitating at its maximum capacity. His body would move as fast as he humanely can, and in the split millisecond that Obito would phase in, Naruto would proceed to absolutely rip Obito's eye clean out of his head, as Obito, now having no access to the Kamui dimension, would end up just pretty much being sitting there, as he would try his absolute best to defend himself. But now, Naruto and Might Guy would proceed to absolutely beat him senseless, with Naruto saying that he wants this to hurt. Might Guy and Naruto would proceed to curb stomp him, break his legs, break his fingers one by one. Naruto would choke him, or not choke him, but he would pretty much end up karate chopping his throat, breaking his vocal cords, as he would then proceed to break his nose, punching it in. Might Guy would proceed to deliver an elbow to the heart, causing Obito to lose all access to his air and breathing. They just start absolutely mauling this dude. I don't know if you guys have ever seen an annihilation, but that's exactly what's about to happen here. And Sasuke, who, mind you, is watching all of this, will just be seeing this in horror, as he would realize that Guy himself could have beat him, but with Naruto there, now he has absolutely no hope. So after this, Naruto would defeat Obito and pretty much just drag Sasuke back to the village. And you might be thinking, oh, won't Sasuke just run away again? No. Sasuke understands, if I try something, Naruto's straight up gonna kill me. And he understands that. Sasuke's now gonna live in perpetual fear of like, okay, I can't act out of pocket. Sasuke would be thrown into jail for a couple of months, but at the end of the day, I could still see him being freed and essentially working for the Leaf Village once more, this time not under Danzo. That being said, after this would take place, Naruto would officially finish rebuilding the village alongside the help of his clones, and he would even help repopulate it. With Naruto never really settling down and being more of that Shadow Hokage type of vibe, you know how Sasuke left one kid that he never sees? Yeah, Naruto does that but with an absolutely ton amount of them. Like, you guys remember Naruto the last, how all the girls were like all over Naruto? Naruto this time around just accepts each and every single one of them. So this man has kids on kids on kids. I mean, the dude can literally start his own village with his sons, and daughters. But anyways, after this would happen, Naruto would pretty much just set himself in a very, very good position. Oh, and during the time of rebuilding, I can maybe see the other villages trying to attack the Hidden Leaf Village in their time of weakness, but with Naruto being there, no other village could possibly be strong enough to actually pose a threat to them. I mean, Naruto's literally a one-man army, and at this point of the story, he could create 10,000 shadow clones, so yeah, there's no need for me to exactly explain to you guys how that would go for the other villages. Oh, and then there's the last little tidbit of the story, which is the Jashin God or whatever. Maybe I'll end up making a bonus part for that, where Naruto actually does fight Jashin, but I ain't gonna lie, bro, that's the literal death god. Naruto is pretty much just yapping, and this video is already way too long for me to even want to make any more of that. So with that being said, if you guys hit like what, let's say 4,000 likes, I'll drop a bonus part where Naruto actually fights Jashin. I'll maybe even cover the Tenseigan stuff that ends up happening in Boruto, and maybe a little funny scene where Naruto comes back to all his kids. That'd be hilarious. Anyways, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, leave a like on the video, considering that it took me forever to grind this series out. And with that being said, it has been your boy Xehther, and I am out. Peace.